Welcome everybody. This is the Color World Live, and
You can't pause on that. You better roll through that. This is the color. This is the colored world.
How hard do I? Yeah, and what was interesting, Terry, is we did not foresee when we started Color World. First of all, it's just a book. It's just a book that Rachel, and the cover of the book is a soap bubble, and in soap bubbles, there's every color in the rainbow. What we did not foresee is when that became the image of Color World, right? That soap bubble, how many POC, black, brown, yellow, red, would come to us in the entertainment space and feel comfortable. I cannot tell you how many people that are not white come to our booth and they pick up Color World, and everybody sees their home, right? Black people are picking it up because it says the world color in it. His Latino people are picking it up. People that are LGBTQ in huge amounts. That rainbow has become ubiquitous with, right? And so when we started Color World, we really did not imagine all the ways in which Color World would make sense to call the company. Like, we just did it because it was the name of the first book, and we need, right? And so we have long been in these conversations with people. Terry, you are one of my favorite people to see out on the road. And what I love about our relationship is on that show floor, we are competitors.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. There's a certain number of dollars that come in.
Yep.
And we effectively fight on a fair playing field, I think. Right.
That's what I love about it.
I love it. Yeah. But at no point, and maybe we live in an insulated environment. Did you, in terms of being on that show floor and the competition, it always felt like, man, what a good time. What a good time to be out there, to be competing. And at the end of the day, it's like, how are you? I'm good. Oh man, that went great. Okay, great. Did you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a sports like, adversarial, type of relationship. So it's not like, I equate it to the difference between jealousy and envy. I think jealousy is a good thing.
Sure.
I think envy is a bad thing. What the hell are you talking about? Jealousy says, you know what? It's an internalized, like it's something I'm doing wrong, and that person has something that I don't. I got to work harder to better myself. Yeah. Envy says I have to destroy that other person to make my internal self feel good, right? And that's why envy is a sin, and jealousy, I think, fuels the economy.
Yeah.
Like
the Joneses. Yeah. Looking across the street and saying, man, my paint on my house doesn't look as good.
Now, in my case, it's the Juarez's, because I got Hispanic neighbors.
Yeah.
And they came in. Now, I live in a what still a predominantly black neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we had a huge influx of Hispanic families, and it's been amazing because they're all kind of blue collar worker type. So they made their damn yards and houses look amazing, and my stuff looked like shit. So I literally was like, okay, you build a I'm gonna build a I gotta keep up with you guys. Right. And I love it. I mean, I love this little pocket because I got directly to the next to me, I have kind of an old timey hardcore, well, he just recently passed, but he was a hardcore conservative Confederate flag flying guy. But I'm sure in his eyes, he watched the neighborhood go from people that look like him to people that look like me. And I'm watching it go people that look like me to people that look like more Hispanic. But I'm loving it because to me, there's nothing better than a homeowner that's going to take care of their place and, keep the neighborhood up. And I try to emphasize that race is a part of this conversation. And we'll get into that later. But
for sure.
But it's more of a poverty thing. It's really the deciding factor to the choices we have in this RPG we call life. And so I'm going to circle back to Comic-Con. When I entered into Comic-Con, I had the luxury of being dirt poor. Yeah. Like I had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I had everything to gain, nothing to lose. I always akin myself to Clubber Lang from Rocky 3. Like I came in with an attitude, chip on my shoulder. I did the work circuit and trying to work my way up in a blue collar way. And so I got a diverse skill set that doesn't involve comic books. Like I'm a handyman, I know how to build things and work on stuff. You know, I'm not just a one-trick pony artiste, as they would like to say. That was always a hobby. You know, I'm more of a factory worker, industrial guy on the other side of things. And pizza delivery. I did a lot of pizza delivery. But so I came in, you know, with a whole different mindset than most of the people I feel like have. And one thing that struck me is how many hardcore political views comic book people have.
Yeah.
But they draw men in tights for a living. And so they have these hardcore, let's say hardcore Republican views. But it's like, dude, you're drawing men in tights for a living. Like their life's a dream. How are you this mad and angry?
Right.
And you draw men in tights for a living?
For a living.
For like, that's your job, is to draw dudes in leotards doing heroic shit. Like, it just, like, to me, like, take a step back and realize the privilege.
Yeah.
I don't care what color you are.
Sure.
That you have to be doing this for a job.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I feel like as a result of the fact that we draw men in tights for a living, like, we should have like an RPG like penalty where we have a 10% less complaint.
Yeah.
Like we complain 10% less than everybody else.
Yes.
Because what's your my hand hurts, my neck hurts from looking over drawing all day. Well, tell that to the guy that's been in a factory all day.
Yeah.
Busting his butt, lifting heavy stuff, his spines fused together. You know, we have nothing but first world problems.
Yeah.
You know, and so but like I said, it did amaze me how many people have this cynical outlook that work in the comic book industry. It's like you think they'd be the most happy people on the planet. Not the case.
I feel like there's and to be honest, it's a lot similar to the anime industry in terms of voice actors make more money on the weekends at shows than they do in the booth dubbing anime, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Whereas comic book artists, published comic book artists, make more on the weekends at shows than they do drawing for Marvel, DC, Dark Horse. And it's that there's this like necessary evil, that there's this corporate behemoth that you need to put your name on the cover of something, a DVD or a comic book or graphic novel. Yeah. And then you're going to try to use any amount of that it gets you. And you're going to like just chip away at my own stuff, and the trap is to continue, I guess, their IP on the show floor, and the way you escape reach escape velocity is you do something original. You create your own world. You tell your own story. You draw your own characters.
I see what you're getting at, and I'm going to be a little bit more blunt about it because I learned from Civilization.
Yeah.
You come in, you do a great theft. You take everything you can take before they make it illegal, and then when they say you can't do it that way anymore, you stop doing it, but you've already benefited from the stuff you took.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar? And then when you see somebody else doing it, look at those bastards coming in here. It's like doing it the exact same way I did it. But, you know, and I'm not saying I'm go that far with the analogy, but a lot of great industries were built on a great theft.
Sure.
Right? Like, we don't want it. Like, everybody's like, why are you bringing that up? Like, because that's how it goes, man. Like, the land that the oil is underneath wasn't vacated. Like, they had to kick people off that land to get to that oil. Yeah. You know, and I love robber barons and train barons and tycoons because that's the mindset I had when I came in. And so I understand it. When I watch There Will Be Blood, I'm looking at a superhero movie. Like, yeah, that dude knows how to do it. And I'm joking, of course, but we think that there's this benevolent business guy, and it's always been that way. They are predators. They came in, they saw a weakness, they exploit the weakness, and then once the weakness gets stopped, then they go, okay, nobody else can do it this way. Like, who the hell is gonna go find gold in the mountain right now? Nobody.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah,
because all the big companies own all that land,
all the mountains. Yeah,
like you're not going to just go find a random diamond and become a billionaire overnight. Yeah. Those opportunities are closed.
Yeah,
same. I look at Comic-Con the same way. There's going to come a time where they're gonna because here's one thing people don't know: the major corporations don't police the IPs on purpose. It's not like they don't know we exist, or it's illegal and they're just waiting for us to get caught. They know our names. They know who we are. they don't care because it's not worth their time to care. One, two, we're the talent pool,
right?
And they recruit people. Your DC Bombshells. I know that guy personally, Anthony Lucia. He was a pinup artist doing unlicensed art. DC came, swooped him up, and now that IP is humongous for him. As a matter of fact, he whole cloth invented that look. Those were the pinups he was doing. And so they got free research and development from this guy and basically monetized something he already developed for him. Right? And so, and I'm not saying there's a symmetry there, because the asymmetry is definitely in favor of the big corporations. They can squash us like the bugs we are. But
we're not bugs.
To insulate yourself from that, you have to once again come up with your own original IP. And that's inventing a brand. That's cultivating your brand. That's doing day in and day out with people, which a lot of mainstream artists can't do because they're shackled to the companies. So they can't be of the people, by the people, for the people like we are, you know. And all we do is serve niches, right? We serve. It's so many. So when we talk about competing, it's true there's an overlap, but at the same time, I'm serving a different niche than you're serving.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't look at it like if I got rid of Color World, I make $1,000 more. Because some people do look like that. They look at it like that. You know, and it's like, no, you're not watching me take your money. You're watching me make my money. And that's where you're going wrong. You're too busy watching me make my money, and you're not thinking about how you could capture some of that money for yourself. Because it's fishing, baby. And you gotta have some bait on the line.
Bring a pole. Bring a pole. I will always give credit where credit is due. If somebody ever is like, "Oh, how did you get this up?" Like, Jerry told me I should do bookmarks. Boy, did I take that idea and run, and it became our signature item. All because Rachel writes a book series, and it made a ton of sense to put the two together. And then, you know, little did we know, Jeremy Lee was reading the book series, and I'm like, well, it sounds crazy, but what if I get a really famous voice actress to do the audiobooks for us? And then the next thing I know, yes. And then it's, you know, you just innovate. And that's, I love, competition does that. Competition.
Oh yeah, definitely. Healthy. There's healthy competition and there's unhealthy, like there's people in this industry that are pretty much the equivalent of sports enhancing drugs. You know, I'm not gonna name no names, but they know who they are. You know, they're doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. They're taking credit where they shouldn't be taking credit, and you know their day is gonna come. But as far as what I'm doing, I try to focus on being who I'm gonna be instead of focus on trying to take people out. And most people end up self-destructing to begin with. So you know, sometimes you just gotta bide your time and wait for that to happen. But it's definitely been an interesting experience being one of a few handful of black guys in Comic-Con. Like it's not like it's hundreds of thousands of us and you know we're just crying wolf. Like there's only like 10 that you can think of off the top of your head, and 10 might be pushing it.
every one of them. Like that's how. So let's get into it. Are there regions or areas of the country where you feel more at home than others?
So places where I thought I would feel more or less any kind of negative emotion has been pleasantly not that way. I actually, so since I'm from Indiana, I find myself in a position where I'm like Jon Snow, Game of Thrones, where I'm of two worlds, where I'm pretty much considered a wildling by everybody on either coast. They go, Indiana, you know, Mike Pence. And at the same time, I can relate to both sides, you know, because I'm a very moderate political guy. I'm right in the middle. I'm political fluid. I can flow either way, you know. But in recent times, it's been hard to flow one way. You can probably guess what way that is, because they're legit on some stuff that I can't even begin to wrap my brain around, and how it pertains to morality and family and Christianity. It just doesn't. And I'm not necessarily a Christian anymore, but when I was, there was a particular party that was pretty easy to align yourself with if you had Christian views. Now, if I was a Christian, I'm like, I don't even know how I can justify the fact that this guy is supposed to be my Christian leader.
Pete Buttigieg is about all you got. If you want to be Christian in politics, he's the only guy that I've seen flaunt his faith, not in a way that wanted to step on someone else's neck. Is Pete Buttigieg.
I love Pete.
He's cool.
Pete, what's funny, what I liked about Pete is he was a gay conservative.
Yeah.
It was like he was the perfect symmetry. Yeah. He was the chosen one because it was like, because he's from my same hometown, South Bend.
Indiana.
So I'm like, he was my mayor. So I got firsthand experience of Pete, and he's a plain Jane dude like me. When you're from the Midwest, you're automatically, I don't care how liberal you are or how whatever, you're a small C conservative no matter what, because the seasons change.
Yeah.
You know you got to think about the future a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to think about conserving, like literal conservation of energy and goods, because the weather's going to get bad. So we're all micro farmers out here when it comes to resources. And okay, it's getting cold. That means the heat bill is going to go. We got to think like this.
Yeah.
Right. So, I can relate to a certain segment of the conservative America, which I particularly, I feel like most Americans are small C conservative. It's just on the wedge issues is where things start to go willy-nilly.
Yeah.
And then young people got their own thing. They just want free love, free sex, free drugs, rock and roll, all that. That's the whole thing. But every young generation wants that. So,
every one of them.
Yeah. That's nothing new. We had the 60s, we had the 70s. It came back again in the 80s. I think it skipped the 90s. And then in 2020, everybody wants everybody. So there you go.
I think it's like AIDS scared everybody away for a minute.
And there you go. There you go.
Wait, Magic Johnson's still alive? Oh hell, we have.
Let's go out and party.
Yes.
And I don't happen to agree with that position, but that's a lifestyle choice. It's
sure.
not. Let's say you do agree with it. It's not my job to convince you of anything. It's my job to just live my truth.
Yeah.
Like you can see, okay, Terry Huddleston has a stable wife and kids. His philosophy must be sound. Not me, like, look how many people I've put down and denigrated over what they're doing. Aren't I something? And I kind of don't like the fact that politics has gone to this rap battle style of you say something hurtful, I say something hurtful, and neither one of us are changed. We're more entrenched in our views than ever.
Right.
And I can't learn from you, and you'll never learn from me because I've already scorched the earth on any type of transition between your opinion and mine. We're never gonna come together now because it's like I've already got off on the wrong foot. Like I hate beards, even though I got one, but some people are like, well, I'm not shaving my beard. Like, well, then I'll never accept you. Yeah. It's like, well, okay, how do you want me to react to that? Like, I can't,
Are you a libertarian leaning guy?
No. I think I thought I might be able to. I think on paper I probably would have been, but I feel like libertarians are still kind of like closet conservatives, big C conservatives. They still like closely align with that. What I want is somebody that's gonna basically be a chimera. I need a chimera candidate that's gonna be like, guess what? I love big business. Let's do it. But guess what? I also love socialism. So I'm gonna take care of them, and I'm gonna take care of you, and all that money you guys got from the government. You're going to spend it like we always do. And look, a month ago, everybody would have called me a crazy socialist bastard, which I'm not, but I just common sense. But then Trump started mailing out checks to people.
Yeah.
Right? And what people do with them checks? Did they save them? Did they squirrel them away? No, they spent them.
Right.
So imagine if we had a country that had a 2-piston heart, just like a organ where we're pumping money into the top and pumping money into the bottom. The middle class would be mega rich.
So are you a UBI guy?
I don't know what the hell it's called.
Okay.
I just want to take care of poor people and people that are trying to live their lives and also keep the economy going.
So universal basic income. Are you?
Yes.
Okay. So Andrew Yang, was he also your dude?
I did like what he had to say. But I was on this before he came along. It's just one of those. So let me tell you another thing about my origin story. So during the Bush years is when I started looking into this, and I was extremely not well off. And so I signed up for welfare. I signed up for medical assistance.
Yep.
But man, and it wasn't like a ton of money, but having that underpin and knowing my kids are going to be able to eat, and we're going to have a baseline of money coming in, gave me the leverage to go out and take calculated business risk and invest in myself.
Yes.
But if you're working a 60-hour soul-crushing job, you're never going to have that opportunity. And so my religion, if I was to have one, was to get more entrepreneurs.
Yes. Yes.
More. And I think if we just call welfare stimulus, entrepreneurial packages, just rename them something patriotic, people would have less of a stigma about getting a handout from the government.
So what if we did this then? What if we had a true legitimate, what if we didn't have a welfare system in the way that most white people are scared of? Because let's be honest, that I got to tell you, Terry, of all the stupid stuff I'm tired of hearing, the moral hazard that white people believe is created by feeding somebody, giving them a place to live, is insane.
You'll make them lazy.
Okay, so here's what I know.
That's the argument. You'll make them lazy, and they won't want to work.
Here's what I know. In North Carolina, Terry, you cannot qualify for any amount of assistance with health insurance if you make more than $716 a month.
That's crazy.
I'm going to say that again. $716. Guys, I got to tell you, my mortgage was $625. So Rachel and I have been uninsured for 10 years. In California, they have a tiered system. If your family's this size, right, we're gonna help you out less. But in some of these states, Terry, if that isn't keeping people in the system, if that isn't keeping people at the government teat, I don't know what is. But in order to take calculated risks like you're talking about, we have to take care of some of this stupid stuff. And I'm not saying that somebody should be able to go to a doctor every time they sneeze. I don't. I think that Americans, more than anyone in the world, abuses the healthcare system. And it's because we built it for profit.
Well, there you go. And that it abuses you back. It's going to charge you $100 for a bottle of aspirin, right? There's that. But see, I don't give a shit about sucking Uncle Sam's titty, right? Because whenever I hear JP Morgan and all these big companies are getting trillions of dollars, but I gotta be slut shamed when I want some money from the government? Nah, bro. Like you got failing companies. They're failing, getting money for failure. They're rewarding failure. But I gotta be slut shamed. I gotta do the walk of shame if I want to get some money from the government. I say.
Airlines. Think about the airlines. Let's realize this. In 2020, we've just all learned that most of us don't even have to go into work to work. Most of us went from...
Well, we knew that. We already knew that. This is what I'm trying to say. I want to spread the awareness that we don't need to be like... So really, here's what ends up happening. If you talk about people leeching off the government, right?
Sure.
Here's what I noticed. It finally came... Like, the government uses big business and corporation as a Ponzi scheme laundromat. It launders government money to give to us. It says, hey, we're not going to give you money directly. We're going to give it to them, and you got to go to them to get the money that we could have just fucking gave to you.
Yes. Because why are we subsidizing oil?
When they could just help us out directly because they want us to work, right? And so labor. But now they're also telling us that T-1000s are going to replace us. And so, and we've known about this since the 80s. And so there's not going to be a labor versus cash thing. We're going to be super broke country. And we're not going to have any need for labor. I got ideas for that. I think that we should have to where, let's say me and you worked at the same factory job.
Sure.
Or we just they put it out there for public auction to where me, you, and 100 people can go in on a $10 million machine. We own the machine collectively. And so whatever that money that machine makes, we're getting a cut of it. We're getting a dividend. That machine made us $1 million split by 100 people. We're balling.
Yeah.
That's what it broke down. You all got to pitch in to fix it. And we're maintaining the machine that's making us money.
Yeah.
And you can go, that's robot slavery. Like, I don't care. That robot ain't got no soul.
Right.
That robot can pick that cotton all day long, and he's not a human being.
Right.
It's like it's like, but we don't have any systems. I know there's probably 1,000 problems with what I just said, but we're not even thinking about the future and how we're going to future-proof ourselves against corporations treating us like the worst part of business.
Yes.
They've been trying to cut the human element out for a long time because we get hurt, we get sick, we have babies, we want to spend time, we have needs and desires that go against their corporate bottom line.
Yeah.
And so I think, and this one thing I want to bring up too with you, to let the viewers know about really our best connection isn't that we competed on the show floor, it's our damn kids grew up together. Yeah. We're one of the few people that brought our kids to Comic-Con on a consistent basis. Yeah. Little knuckleheads running around, playing around, and people go, okay, that's Terry's kid, that's Color, okay, and they grew, they're all tall now and gangly, and I think there's nothing greater for a man, I'm talking mankind, like men, testosterone, is to show his child a trade.
Yeah, how to work. Yeah.
And not necessarily how to work for somebody else. You literally, your child can inherit what you built.
Yes.
Yeah. He can't do that if I'm working at a factory. He can't inherit my job.
Well, and let's be honest. Who in the last 60 days, who's worked? Plumbers, electricians, mechanics, carpenters.
Once again, people that draw men in tights. I should be the last guy getting a paycheck right now, but people still want to see people in tights.
Yeah.
So, trust me, I thought I was about to go broke. Like, well, it's over for me. But, thanks to all my supportive fans, it's been an amazing experience to see. I feel like Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, where he's on the subway train, all the people are lifting him up. That's me right now. I'm like completely knocked on my ass, and my fans pretty much came in and helped me out.
We experienced a similar thing. The world went to hell in a handbasket. 99% of my income just went, and then the next thing I know, Colleen Clinkenbeard is texting me, hey, are you guys okay? Leah Clark is texting me, hey, are you guys okay? Chris Wakehamp, Brittany Karbowski. Like, my phone is ringing off the hook with these people that are way more famous than I am, asking me, is there anything we can do? And it was in that environment, Bryce Papenbrook, that we invented online conventions. They didn't even exist 6 weeks ago. And we've already done 6 of them, and I've got 2 more this week. And it's because people cared. They got to know me over the last 5 years and thought, this guy's a decent guy. This guy has 5 kids. I don't want to see him in a bad place. What can I do? So for me, I think that giving somebody a reason to get out of bed, giving somebody an occupation, giving somebody a labor, giving somebody a skill, a trade is the future. It's how we it's how we matter. It's how we matter at all to humanity. Go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing with you that if we don't get people trades, and it doesn't have to be art. It could be, like you said, plumbers, carpenters. So here's another radical view that I have. I don't understand why we send our kids to school for 12 years and then they have to go to college to learn something, to learn about like a trade. Yeah. Like, we should do K through 6, ABC 1, 2, 3. Yep. And then after that, you're gonna learn how to plumb, become a carpenter, fix cars, something. And before people think I'm wild, we used to have those. There was carpentry class and home economics and all that. They got rid of stuff that teaches people how to spend money properly. Like, these kids come out of high school lambs to the slaughter. They go to college, they get rickrolled into getting all that tuition money, and they're happy to be slaughtered. They're like, yeah, I got accepted into Notre Dame. And next thing you know, they're 36 and they still owe money. To Notre Dame.
And I think that we just found out that's probably going to be the next shoe to drop. Is enrollment's going to plummet because kids that are at home, people that got sent home from college students that got sent home. Look, if you are not an athlete and can't make your school revenue and can't become famous as a result of you going to college, a lot of people just found out that it's cheaper and more efficient and more effective to go to a trade school, that your local community colleges can teach you how to matter to in the oil boom in North Dakota. When I was out there 2011 to 2014, a mechanic could go leave a job and 30 minutes later have a job across the street. That's how in demand diesel mechanics were in the Bakken oil field. And I got to tell you, name one mechanic shop that you can just take your car in and they're just going to fit you right in. They all have a lot full of cars because there aren't enough mechanics to do all the work that is literally sitting outside their door.
Yep. They're literally doctors for cars.
Yeah.
Like, they're car doctors, and it's there's that. And see, I know I work on cars a little bit. I do a little bit of, it's one thing about being growing up poor, you learn how to do a lot of stuff on your own. So I'm not acting like I'm a super genius. It's just I didn't have any options. So I went down to the library, rented out that book on my Dodge Stratus, and took my engine apart and fixed the timing belt, put it back together, and it was a life affirming moment. Kids today, they got YouTube and all that good stuff. So as much as I knock the internet, because I think the internet is been doing some terrible things to people's brains, it also paradoxically is the greatest source of free information that you could ask for. But I actually watched full courses from MIT, Harvard, Princeton on political science, religion, all type of stuff, just for shits and giggles. Just like, hey, you know what? It's free. I'm gonna watch it. These are college lectures. People gotta pay for it. I'm watching. I don't even have to take a test. Yeah. I'm like, boom, I'm done. Yeah. Right. But I still get to retain the information.
Yes.
It's like if you're going to school for a piece of paper, that's one thing. But if you just want the information's already out there for you. You can get it for free.
Yep.
And I don't know why we monetize people learning about what should be something that's taught within the 12 years you're in school. 12 years. Think about that. 12 years.
Yeah.
And to prove my point, I always use my own household as my own little tiny kingdom. Because if it doesn't work here, I got no excuse trying to preach it to you.
Yeah, trying to do something. Right? Yeah.
My oldest son is a sculptor. He knows how to make music. He knows he's an artist. My second oldest she's a fantastic multimedia artist, storyteller. My 14-year-old is a computer animator, cartoon and a filmmaker. And my 9-year-old is a damn filmmaker, right? And so my point is, we can teach our kids highly technical stuff before they're out of school. Like, I don't know why we're treating like these are Adobe Premiere isn't a college level course if you dump it in front of a 10-year-old.
Yes.
They'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That's literally how I learned everything I know about digital art. Is I got access to the programs as a child because my friend's father was an engineer. And it was a white family, and this is why I'll never be like, oh, white people evil. Nobody believes that. But at the same time, just that little bit of access to something that my black family ain't gonna have access to.
Right.
I don't care, like maybe now, but not back then. Black families gonna be walking around with $6,000 Adobe programs because they were expensive back then. They're a little bit cheaper now, but back then you had to have gone through a lot of stuff to get given those programs. Those are corporate programs. They weren't for everybody to have on their home computers. They were corporations licensed them out, and then the people that worked at these corporations got to use all these programs. And anybody who's gray hair knows what I'm talking about. It's just we're so used to programs being democratized, but there were certain programs you were never going to even know existed,
right?
Unless you worked in those fields. And I got access to those. I consider that one of the greatest privileges at an early age that I've ever received, because it literally changed the trajectory of my life. Like, I knew what I wanted to do at 12 years old. Like, oh, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And worked in that direction.
So I think it was, born and raised in Seattle, Washington, Bill Gates, co-founder of Microsoft, with childhood friend Paul Allen in Albuquerque. I'm trying to think. It's either Steve Jobs or it's Bill Gates. One of them had literally, Terry, I'm telling you the exact same experience. The only reason that they got into that field in computing is they had a neighbor who was willing to be like
Bill Gates.
It is Bill Gates. Okay, so you know the story. Yeah. In your family, is there, when you teach your kids, when you are trying to make something out of them, when you're trying to push them, do you have to have the conversation in specifically regarding race?
Sure. I mean, I look at race as it's a flavor, but it isn't the whole drink, right? So a lot of the problems that society has had since the institutional civilization is power based.
Yes.
And so if you go in looking like, okay, every white person is on this same power level, then you're already gonna lose the game. The best way to look at life is like an RPG. In RPGs, for whatever reason, the same racist people, they understand it. Like, oh yeah, the orcs are discriminated against, and it's not right because they got the big teeth and they're really intelligent if you get to know them. But in real life, they can't. They like, you know, and they know when they're like, they literally in RPGs tell you to pick your class and pick your race.
Yeah.
Like, and we're like, you know, some of us don't like, I want to be high elf because they got the bestest and no, but they can't use hammers. You know what? I'm gonna go with the Nords. The Nords, they have less intelligence, but you know, for some reason we're able to quantify everything down to numbers
in a video game.
But in real life, we go, there's no racism. Why do you keep bringing it up? Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I'm like, nah, man. It's a lot like an RPG.
Yeah.
We know that black people have a 10% plus cop fear than if you're white, right? But at the same time, we have 20% boost in confidence when we're in a black neighborhood. Like, you know, I've seen white people fucking shit on themselves coming to my neighborhood. Like, am I gonna get killed? I was like, yeah, because that happens all the time. Random white people getting killed by black people. It's just a thing that happens. Like, hey, you white, I'm gonna kill you because I got bloodlust. It never happens, right? Yeah. But it's a story. And then these are my liberal friends now. So I'm not even gonna say that they're Republicans. It's just people have this built-in stigma.
Right.
So every time I see, this is a side, but every time I see a big, buff, bald white guy, like, if you notice, those are the nicest people on the planet because they have to be. I always joke with them. You know, you actually know what it feels like to be black because people assume you want to hurt them. They assume that you're less intelligent and they assume that you're violent. And he's like, damn, you're right. I was like, I know. And so you have to bend over backwards to make people know you're not going to crush them when you're a big dude. And let alone a big black dude, but even big white dudes got the same problem. People comment on it like, man, you could break me in half, couldn't you? Like, why would you bring that up? Like, why is that on your mind?
Why is that part of the conversation that we're having?
Why is that? Like, I bet you could snap me like a twig. Like, why is that a thing that you're thinking about? You know? Yeah. And so this is what I'm saying about how race is a flavor to it, but it's all about power dynamics that and so when it comes to teaching my kids, to circle back to your question, it's easy, parents out there. Just buy them shit that's highly technical and advanced and throw it at them. They'll figure it out. You don't even got to know what the hell it is. You don't have to know how it works. Their little sponge damn brains will figure that shit out. My son is doing crazy stuff with program. I can't help him. I don't know how to use Blender. Like he's using Blender because he looked into it. Yeah. Right? Once again, with my RPG analogy, he leveled up from nothing into being, you know, a master at a young age of a program that's highly technical. Because when they're children, they got the biggest commodity we'll never have, which is time.
Time.
You know it. It ain't money, it's time. Which is what this C19 is giving me. I don't got no money, but I got a whole lot of time. And so now I can really, really dig in and do. Actually, I'm going to show you a piece I'm working on. Actually, I'm done with it now, but
you should be able to see the screen here.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, it says it's going to cause the screen to crash. Uh-oh. Really? It says it might. Okay, I'm not going to do it. Okay, you want me to do it anyway? Actually, you know what? Here, I'll just do it. I'll do it manually. Oh, I
was gonna say I'll just send you a link back and you come right back in.
Oh, is that showing up? Okay, there we go.
Man, holy cow! Are you gonna make that on stained glass?
It's on a giant mega print right now. It's 14 by 39, almost 40-inch print, and a lot of stuff going on in there.
What is the inspiration for that piece?
So this is one of my goddess pieces that I've been doing. We talked about doing original stuff. Yeah. This was my thing into that, and I came out with a series of ethnocentric deities, just because I noticed that there was a big demand for. It's the weird thing when you're an atheist. You realize there's a thirst for spirituality in the world.
Yes.
And there shouldn't be, because we got a church on every corner, but it's because people's spirits aren't really being fed, and so they're looking for something to inspire them, which inspire means to be filled from within, literally to pour spirit within. Yep. So, and I'm not saying it has to be a religious spiritual inspiration, but like people want to be filled up with something different than just this cynical, vacuous world we're living in right now. So I wanted to come up with something that was a two-way conversation between my fans and what I believe the archetypes of all human existence are. Yeah. And so I'm doing a tarot set. It started off as a regular, like me doing my thing, but it morphed into a tarot deck. Yeah. And people really like overwhelmingly, it's our number one products are my products. Not to say I'm not going to use that welfare of Marvel and DC IPs to make sure I cushion out my profits, because I ain't crazy. It's like pinch hitting, and until they make it illegal, I ain't gonna stop doing it. But you know,
you're Barry Bonds right now.
I'm Barry Bonds right now. Well, I ain't using maybe, I don't know. I got to be a couple of shades lighter to be Barry Bonds today, but that's a joke. People don't get offended. But anyway, yeah. So that's the whole thing with that. But I think that we have a spiritual drought that if we don't plug that, and I think if the left had an issue, that would probably be my number one issue. It's not enough to make me go, screw the left, because my liberal allies got my back, and my moderate allies. I got a lot of people are like me, where we're kind of like X this, but we know it's wrong, but we can't throw ourselves in the other camp, but we can't ignore what's happening, right? And so, but with liberals, if we can pump it a little bit more morality, like not the PC morality, not the don't say this, don't say that,
like legitimate morality.
Like, hey, don't make a bunch of kids and not raise them. How about that?
Yeah,
like just simple stuff like that. I can get outraged about that. Yeah. I can get outraged with you about a deadbeat dad. Like I hate deadbeat men. Like you could ask my wife, they drive me nuts, because me and her are both, that's our personal story, is we come from a background that didn't have a lot of great male role models. Now she had better ones than I did. Yep. And we both got some later in life, but initially, we just didn't get to see. And actually, it's how I became a de facto feminist, because all my aunties are pretty much who raised the family. Right. Like there was no uncles around, so I never got to see weak women. Like I don't know what weak women they're talking about, except for TV women, because real life women are rough and tough. And they go from thugs to saints. Like it's a spectrum. Like, it wasn't like they're all like, oh, my fair lady. Like my aunties was rugged. They'll mess you up.
So did you respond really well to the Black Panther then?
Oh man, I love Black Panther. So my only gripe about Black Panther, which is a small one, is I didn't like Black Panther in Black Panther. Everybody else was cooler than him.
Right. Yeah,
he was the weakest character in his own movie, but that's still saying something. Dora Milaje, amazing. Yeah. Killmonger, amazing. Yeah. Black Panther was he's like every shonen protagonist, right? If it's an anime, he's the I believe I'm right, and it's like, no, man, you're a little bit wrong, but you're a little bit right. And then, but at the end, he moderated and came to the middle where I love, and realized, okay, I got to do a little bit of Killmonger, a little bit of what I've been doing, and then it's a happy medium.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I think the idea of being on one side or the other, we have got as a people, and this goes past the borders of America, we have got to get out of trying to be on one side or the other. We have got to stop trying to pick a president like we're betting in Vegas. I feel like what we've done in America is we've turned voting into sports gambling.
Sure.
And rather than vote, I went to the polls today. Do you know Mega Ran?
Same.
Do you know Mega Ran?
I don't know.
He's a hip hop dude that takes 8-bit tracks from like Mega Man and Legend of Zelda. And
yeah. I do know him. Yeah,
yes. On Twitter, I'm like, okay, I can't. It's a blackout, so I'm trying to look for content that I want to push. and I want to make sure that we amplify these voices that are bringing positivity. And then I see Mega Ran's like, by the way, these 13 states, your primaries today. And I'm like, oh shoot, I just moved to a new state and my state is on that list. And so I grabbed my first bill that showed up and I'm like, hey, state, like, can you register in this state to vote? And they're like, yeah, sure, take your ID and blah, blah, blah. And then, so moral of the story is, man, it must have taken me 20 minutes, Terry. And I don't know if it's wrong or illegal, or it used to be illegal, but it's not, like, I was on my phone in the voting booth for 20 minutes looking up these candidates. Because at first I was like, well, I'll just go identity politics. So I'm tired of men. I'm tired of old white men. So I'll pick anyone that's not an old white man. Well, there's no one's brown in this. There's no POC in this race because we live in the Midwest, and so nobody's running as black or brown. So I'm down to these two chicks. Well, I like the chick with white hair, but if she's old and she comes from mine, and so
you're thinking like an RPG game. See, you just proved my point. You're like, which avatar do I want?
I have to have some basis to vote. So I ended up just looking. I went to their websites. I'm reading articles that they wrote about each other, and I was like, oh, I really want to vote for this guy. He runs an insurance company, and insurance people are always trying to think about what can go wrong. And because of that, they're very innovative and they can solve problems because they're always trying to think about how to cover things. But then he's going after these two other candidates, and this chick is backed by hella unions. Oh, I can't vote for that because there are some serious structural issues with auto unions and police unions that need to get addressed in America. So I can't roll with the chick who has mad union backing. So I eventually settled on the chick who was like Bernie Jr. She's a hippie. She believes people are people and we should take care of people. She didn't run a negative campaign against anybody, but and on the way home, Rachel and I are talking like, oh, how'd you vote? How'd you vote? And she's like, I'm just so committed to getting rid of DJT right now that's my only goal. And so I'm trying to vote for people that have the best shot to get rid of every R in every state so that we can get rid of DJT. And I'm like, I understand this chess match, but I am sick and tired of being forced to vote for somebody who is the lesser of two evils.
I literally want a candidate. And I know Andrew Yang was probably as close as we're going to get. If I can get a candidate that's like, look, it's weird. I want a candidate that's like, hey, I just want to give you guys a bunch of money and let you create your own systems with the money. Like, not necessarily go out there and work a job, but like, I want to, just like FDR invested in the lower half of America.
Yes.
I need a candidate that's like, look, I basically want to make sure the bottom chunk of America, because this includes white, black, and brown.
Yeah.
And what's crazy, here's the crazy thing. Whenever you hear the word poor, it's coded as black and brown. But there's a lot of poor white people.
Yeah.
Like a whole lot.
Go to Kentucky, go to Indiana.
And so whenever somebody says, hey, let's give poor people money, they always reference black people. Like, what about those black welfare queens that are like, but what about for every one black person, there's like 100 poor white people.
Yes.
That could also benefit. Like you could benefit from this. Once again, what if they politicize the Trump checks? What if they were like, well, we don't want to give these out because Boom Queen is gonna get it.
Right.
No, if you notice, nobody said anything. It was just, you're getting them. Don't worry about it. Whether you deserve it or not, you don't have to qualify for anything. And because they know that that's the fastest way to legit help people is to give them money.
Yeah.
Not institutions.
So what if we do this, Terry? Because the money's there. For years I've wondered how honest can I be when I run for office, and then I see DJT and I'm like, well, I can be pretty damn honest. Okay, so that done. I know I can be honest. Well, what if we can we talk about policy? Okay, and then you get Elizabeth Warren and Andrew Yang talked about policy until they were blue in the face. Like, okay, they were well received. They didn't get over the hill, but nobody ran them out of the race because they wanted to. Okay, so I can talk issues and I can be honest. what if we think outside the box, right? So Andrew Yang is another guy who both talked about policy and said, hey, here's what no one's talking about. No one's talking about the fact that you're not ordering from a person at McDonald's anymore. The fact that you go into a McDonald's and you're typing on a screen and you don't need a human being anymore, and that your order's going to the cook. Like, let's do the math, people. How many years are we before every Walmart?
Not many.
Look at Walmart. When I was a manager at Walmart when they introduced self-checkouts, and everyone's like, they're buggy, they're terrible, you can't use them, blah, blah, blah. As just like the children who you give an iPhone to and they'll figure it out, people that are efficient, who are not comfortable, who know that they can do the checkout process faster than that cashier, that we have learned how to do self-checkouts, and every one of us can fly through a Walmart on a self-checkout. And so now you see the number of self-checkouts is expanding dramatically in Walmart.
Yeah.
We're going to lose.
It's happening.
So what if, and then my next question that I keep asking myself is the country willing to, is there a political impetus to spend money where we need to, right? If you look at Keynesian economics, the government has to be the buyer of last resort when it needs to be, i.e. the Great Recession, 07, 08, 09. Mm-hmm. The government has to be the buyer of the automobile industry, the banks, the troubled banks. The government has to be the buyer of those things. But then now in this pandemic that we're seeing, the government also has to be the seller of things. They have to, right,
what's that sound like to you? That sounds like another government system that we were told to hate.
So I guess my problem is I like the managed system that the Chinese had. If we have something,
I'm joking, but that's how people are. Like, oh my God, our evil empire.
But what if the smartest people in the room are also the kindest people in the room? What if we stop trying to vote for people like we're betting on a sports team, and we put people in charge that we are proud to have in charge? Like, let's legitimately talk about how few people in the last 50, I probably can go 100 years. The only people that I consistently hear spoken well of over the last 100 years are JFK, Ronald Reagan, and Barack Obama. And
I know you better put Obama on that list.
Yes.
Yeah, Obama was an amazing individual. Whether you agree with his politics or not, what frustrates me is people that feel the way I feel right now about Obama. Like, how could you be like this frustrated with Obama? Like, I can see you like being apathetic or going, but like, really, he was really pissing you off.
Yeah,
just like this guy. What was every tweet like? You know, they should have never gave y'all white people money. Like, he didn't do a tenth of the stuff that Trump is doing, and they love it. And it's Schadenfreude, if you know about that, psychological thing where people they take joy in seeing how upset liberals are by Trump. What you showing me there?
I see. You see that?
I see something.
This tweet violated Twitter's rules about glorifying violence.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Twitter has determined that it may be in the public's interest to remove this tweet. So you're telling me the President of the United States of America says something that a social media platform has to remove in the interest of the people of our country? Barack Obama never, ever fell into that category of doing something.
Even close. It wasn't, I mean, the closest he's gotten, I think he had just got elected, and he said something about people clinging to their guns and their religion, their Bible. And people explode, oh my God, he apologized and all that stuff as they were clinging to their guns and religion, by the way, as they protest just not too long ago. So it wasn't like he was wrong, but they made him apologize because how dare this guy tell us what to believe, what not to believe. And but that's neither here nor there. Like, I think what's happening now is that this is like the season finale of the Donald Trump TV show, and it started off with racism.
Yes.
And the irony is it's ending with racism.
But
like because the images of little girls in cages didn't move people.
It didn't.
You know, the images of school shooters shooting up a bunch of white girls didn't move people. I thought it would. I was like, okay, they're gonna do. No, nothing happened. And so I didn't think this was gonna change anything. But I think the dynamic is we're not being distracted by trying to eke out a living at a job. See, that's the difference. Everybody
is his administration created the means whereby we could pursue this, where we could pursue humanity, where we could fight over things that are worth fighting for. Like legitimately, the fact that people were given money and given time meant that we were in front of the computer to amplify a message worth amplifying.
Which is why more like the French and other countries have more protests, because they have, once again, that bun of socialism where they can actually be off of work and go do public activism. And so what's funny is that the gun rights people, which I'm all about guns. I got 3 or 4 guns, right? I'm not anti-gun, but they're all they are quick to tout that guns are used to overthrow a tyrannical government. But those are the same voices that are denigrating what's happening right now. And so there's a double standard about who should have guns and why we should have guns. And I'm not saying that the violence and the rioting and looting is justified, but I'm having a hard time getting so upset that I'm missing the point of why they're looting and rioting.
Yeah, I mean, look, at a certain point, you have to say, what does tyranny look like? Like, do we have to get to the point where we're in District 13? Like, I'm sorry, but I don't want to get there. I don't want to get to the point where we have to have revolution where we're shooting people.
Let's flash back. Let's flash back 2 years. Colin Kaepernick's taking a knee.
Yeah.
Same reaction. Like, there's no way that the problem with being a minority in America is that there's no way to properly protest that doesn't piss off a certain segment, not all, but a certain segment of white America. Like, no matter, he's literally the most docile thing you can do.
Yeah.
Is take a knee.
Yeah.
And it drove people insane.
I gotta tell you, like,
you protest in the street, dogs, animals.
Yes.
Take them out. Like, it's like, how do you want us to do it? Because think about why he was taking a knee. The same issue. It wasn't like it was a different issue. So we tried to do this peacefully.
Tried for years.
For years.
Martin Luther King, same thing.
People ignore it. Like, do me a favor. Let's role play real quick. Ask me about the white rhino going extinct.
The white rhino?
Going extinct. Just say, hey, what about the white rhino going extinct?
Hey, Terry, like, aren't you concerned about the white rhinoceros going extinct?
Well, yeah. Well, what about our jobs leaving the country? That's how people argue. Like, wait a minute, dude. Like, can we just focus on this? So when you say Black Lives Matter, they go all lives matter. Like, let's focus though.
Sure.
Let's focus on what we're focusing on, not to go all lives matter. Duh, blue lives matter. Like, what's that even mean?
Yeah.
Like, are you even saying that there is no problem and that blue lives are the underdogs here and they're being disproportionately killed by black men on record numbers?
Well,
that's not happening.
Terry, I have been I struggle. I'd love to know what maybe your opinion is on. I have been both concerned to show myself things that are real, that are happening, meaning like I don't want to see somebody die, Terry. I don't want to see people be abused. Terry, if I'm watching a show and there is
if you do, then you know.
Sociopath
test right there.
I will shut off a television program in which there isn't consent happening in some sort of intimate experience. Like, if I feel that both parties aren't consenting, I'm not watching that TV show anymore. I don't want to see people be violated.
Yeah,
but
right.
Tell you,
not expressly. Like me, let's say I'm watching a movie and it happens. That's one thing. But season 5 of Game of Thrones was a perfect example of what you're talking about, where that was the rape was the thing. like every episode was gonna have a rape of some kind in it.
Outlander.
And I'm like, why are you like choosing to do this for entertainment?
Right.
Like, I can see if using it because it was in the books. This wasn't even in the books. I read the Game of Thrones books. Sansa didn't get raped in the books, guys. Spoiler. not by Roose Bolton's bastard. And so that made it even more like you guys are choosing this storyline for the rapes.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, like, hey, you know what? We can have her be a super assassin spy right now, which is what she was in the book. But nah, you know, it'd be more entertaining if she's just getting raped all season.
Well, and maybe it was like
so. Yeah, I agree with you there. Like, it was hard for me to watch that. Like, why would I want to tune into this? Like, ooh, who's gonna get raped this episode? Boom,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, but at the same time, I need to be aware that something is broke in America. And when I watched a police officer take a baton and hit a black kid, in my head, instantly I'm thinking, what do we do? Because I got to tell you, Terry, if I'm there and I have a firearm, I'm pulling a firearm on that cop. And I'm saying, get the hell away. Like, what do we do?
Well, that's the whole thing. It's like you're in an impasse where when it comes to a shooting situation, I think, in the moment, in the heat, I could see your logic, but in the long term, a shooting wars isn't going to be good for anybody.
No, and what I'm saying is I don't want.
But here's the deal. I actually predicted a lot of stuff that's happening now because it happened to other countries. And I told my wife that we're going to have a civil war again in America because the left and the right are too volatile at this point. And so until we can reconcile, once again, I'm a greedy, mercantile individual. I want to make Republican money and liberal money. And so it's like you having children or mommy and daddy are fighting. I don't want either one or the other to win. I want them to reconcile so they can raise the damn kids. Like right now, we have a torn nation. We're in decline. Freedom and democracy are hemorrhaging out the window. In other countries that don't like us, like Russia, they gotta be loving this. They gotta be looking at this going, excellent. We destroyed them without a single bullet, Victor. You know what I mean? They gotta be loving this.
Everyone who's interested in being the best, and I think people should. Like I am for, in the rules, I am for fairness and equality. But I'm going to beat you on a battlefield of business. I'm going to outcompete you. I'm going to out-innovate you. I'm going to think of better ideas than you. I'm going to stay up later than you will. You're going to be asleep at 2 a.m. I won't.
That's your right.
Yes.
That's your right, is to basically use and abuse yourself to get an unfair advantage, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I do this. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
But like I said, those are Jedi tenets. A lot of people don't know that there's an invisible force. Of mercantile. Because people go capitalism, and I use it as a shorthand. But real capitalism isn't what we're doing as regular people. Like, we're doing it to a degree, but we're also doing more mercantile, which is selling shit for money. That's got nothing to do with capitalism. It seems like it does, but it doesn't. Capitalism is taking pools of money and dumping it into companies and individuals that don't have money so they can get startup capital.
Yes.
Right. That's a large tenet. But now we have a debt-driven economy, which means they want all of us in debt.
Yeah.
And so they're just throwing this paper money at us, free digital money, And so that's still not capitalism now.
Yeah.
And so people, as far as the individual, you're just a slave to wages at this point if you're a regular Joe working a job.
Yeah.
You're not like, and so I try to tell people, what's your point, Terry Huddleston? My point is, if you know how to do something well, figure out a way to monetize it.
Yes. Yeah. Whatever it is.
Whatever it is. And yes, you can get nasty or you can get wholesome. So if you know how to make a mean batch of cookies, sell them damn cookies.
Yeah.
If you like having, you know what, and you good at it, and maybe get a few dollars every time you doing that thing now. Because there ain't no reason, like Joker said, if you're good at it, I believe you should get paid, And that was like the realest shit anybody ever said. Like, hey, if you're good at something, there's no reason for you to walk around broke, busted, and disgusted, working at a dead-end job.
Yes.
And so most of us have above board skills. So, and me, I can do, look, dude, if I say, what if you couldn't sell comic books? Well, look, if I broke both my hands, I know how to make a mean sweet potato pie. I'd be Terry Huddleston sweet potato pie man.
Yes.
And you'd be taking a bite like, this is good. How much is it? $20. $20 pies. And I'd be selling them pies right next to Patty's pies.
100%.
You know,
yeah.
Her pies is nasty, by the way. Don't eat her pies.
Don't eat it.
They're not that good.
So two things. One is I definitely want to know what to do in the situation. And I want to know just from one dude that has respect for another, what your opinion is or what your advice is. And then I want to know as a white man asking a black man, when I see XYZ, I need to know what I'm to the point now where I just want to do the right thing. I don't care what it is.
I'm going to tell you the hardest thing you got to do. This is the answer nobody wants to hear, but everybody needs to hear it. It's because it's slow. There's no pill for this. Just make sure your kids aren't pieces of shit. That's all I'm going to ask you. As a black man to a white man, to a father to another father. Really, this got nothing to do with race. It's our kids. You have utter control right now. You're going to lose it over time.
Yeah.
Over your kids. You can literally make them into the next generation of human beings that aren't pieces of shit.
Great question.
That's what I'm doing with mine. And that's what I recommend for anybody that's a parent. Because if I'm spending all my time fighting battles out there, I'm a shit parent. I'm not like it. Literally, parenting is you got to have 100% focus. And I've seen the quote unquote plumber with the leaky pipes. They're advocates for this, and this. Their home lives are a wreck. Right? They're on their third, fourth, fifth marriage. It's like, well, you have interpersonal problems you need to fix before I start giving marital advice, let's say. Right. But I've been married 20 years. Yeah. All my kids share me and my wife's DNA. Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong if you come from a split family. Yeah. Look, I'll be the first to say I'm a bastard. Born out of my wife. My mom had me out of wedlock, and so did my wife. So I can tell bastard jokes all I want to. But but you know, I noticed my greatest pride is looking at my 19-year-old son who's about to go out into the world, and I know that he has a mindset that's going to change the world a little bit at a time. But as an individual, he's going to be one individual that I had complete and utter influence over. And he got to see another man live his dreams and basically according to his principles. He didn't see me fighting a bunch of people and arguing. He saw me basically living my truth and succeeding from it. And that's the best thing you can do for your children and for this race problem. It's not going to go away overnight. It didn't start overnight. 300 years in the making, man. It's not going to go away overnight.
At this point, I am utterly convinced that racism is hereditary. And what I mean by that is that when I look at the viewpoint of the world that people have arrived at, it's coming from their parents. Like, there's no way that you grow up as a kid thinking like a kid, wanting to eat whatever has too much sugar in it, wanting to burn things if there's something flammable around, wanting to jump off things that are high enough where you could hurt yourself. Like, that's the life of a kid. And somehow, some way, we are convincing tiny people that they're better than other tiny people.
Well, that's my whole point. Like, you have to show them the lifestyle. You can't preach it to them.
Oh,
you can't preach it to other people.
Sure.
If your kids see you growing up, interacting with the people you interacting with in your private times, now they know you better than you know yourself. And that's what's going to change the world.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it's nothing crazier. Like, you know, I got a 17 about to be 18-year-old, and I got a 19-year-old. Is hearing them say something that I taught them, but they get it. It isn't just a dadism. They've incorporated into their psyche. And so I just can relax that bit more because they know they understand it without having to, you know, get their hand burned by the fire, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so you know, if you can basically, and I know it sucks. It's like, what can I do to the opposition? Nothing. Your kids are going to be the new racists or not.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Right? Or not. Right?
Yeah.
You see what I'm getting at, though? Like, and so I think this turn outward that we have, this knee-jerk reaction to fix society, really, we have to become better preacher teachers. And by preacher teachers, I mean, whatever your truth is, if you can't sell it, like it's so ridiculous that you have to yell at people to get them to listen to you, then your tenet probably sucks. Because the Jesus method, if you're a Christian, people were asking him questions. They were curious.
Yeah.
That's why they're like, hey man, why are you, they're following him like, man, we noticed that you do things a certain way.
Yeah.
And he kept them engaged through curiosity.
Yeah.
And so then when he hit them with the bitter pill, they were like, damn, that's deep.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do that. And he's like, if you can't do it, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like literally, he wouldn't go, well, let's argue. He'd be like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know, very few people can do this anyway. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Through the eye of a needle, can a rich man go to heaven? Yeah. Like very few people can do this. I'm cool. I'm cool with you sucking at this.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm cool if only 1% of people see what we're talking about tonight change. Because it's not my job to do the heavy lifting that's inside your brain. Like I'm not an Orwellian policeman that's gonna police your every racial action.
Yeah.
You go out and get in a fight with a black guy right now and say some shit you shouldn't say. Got nothing to do with me. You're gonna be hurt by that. You're gonna internally feel like less of a person because of what you did. We all have an internal check on our psyche, and the only reason we're able to get away with being corrupt is because we live in the bubble world, right? The bubbles kind of keep you insulated, right. But we don't have that luxury. We travel too much. Yeah. I travel too much to go, Southern people are terrible. I can't say that.
Right.
Like I've never been treated better than in the South. Like seriously, like I'm sure they have racism.
Yeah.
But God, I feel like a king down there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and so the matter of fact, I get the worst treatment is the East Coast. East Coasters are the rudest people on the planet. No matter what color they are.
Yeah. So. Yeah. There's a state not to be named that has some of the worst driving road systems in America that I think there's just too much of a chip on their shoulder that they're not another state to their north, that they just take it out on everybody else. So Terry, what do I do if it's happening in front of me though? Like,
hey, if it's happening in front of you, man, do what your human instincts, as far as, you know, we're all protectors and we're all empathetic. You know, I wouldn't so I've had incidents where I felt like a person of color was saying some out of pocket shit and I stepped in and corrected them. So to me, fascism is fascism is fascism.
Yeah.
Right. And so if I hear somebody saying fascism but with a different color code, I'm gonna check them.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think obviously due to the RPG mechanics of our setup in America, you could be more help to probably the other white guys. See what I'm saying? Whether like if I say the stuff to other white guys, they're like, of course you're gonna say that. You know, you're black. But when they hear it coming from look how you look. You look like you believe some radical ass shit, and you don't. you look like I told you this before, you look like a damn cult leader, you know, from the video game. Yeah. So, you know, so it actually, you will make a better ally in certain cases than I could. You can get indoors because you're a high elf. Yeah. Me as an orc, I can't get into. It's attack on sight. Yeah. As soon as I go into that part of the RPG world. Yeah. Whereas you're like, hey, come on in, Captain, you know, blah, 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 with your pointy ears. And people are like, hey, what do you got to say? And then you convince them because you have plus 10 charisma. Yeah. Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah. You're solving more problems than I could because of it's preschool. I know it sucks, but I feel like what you can do as a person, a white man, is live in the world as it is and not as it ought to be. Yeah. Which means realize how things are. Yep. And then work from there. Like I see why people go wrong when they like, well, we should be doing this, but that's not the world we live in. We don't live in a world that should be. Yeah. We live in the world that's like it is. So if I know I'm gonna get my ass shot if I go to a certain neighborhood, once again, RPG, I'm not gonna go to that neighborhood. Like I'm not going. It shouldn't happen. Yeah. It shouldn't happen. And it needs to stop. Right. But I'm not gonna pretend like I didn't know it was even a possibility. Yeah. Because once again, you know, it's just you start working back from there. And look, what's crazy is a lot of the stuff we said today is rapidly becoming obsolete overnight because most of America is waking up to this exact conversation we're having right now.
So I hope they're like.
Oh, it's happening. It's happening. I've never seen so many people that aren't of color show such solidarity on a single issue.
Thank heaven.
Like I never would have thought this would be the thing. I thought it would take a damn alien invasion to unite the country again.
That was a good movie.
but no, this was the literal straw that broke the camel's back, and now and we're seeing how inept the person we have in leadership is, because he should be trying to put out these fires. He's literally stoking them.
100%. In fact, it's so apparent that he is being censored by people that are smart enough to know that the words that are coming out of his mouth, they are what they are. And I'm sick and tired of, what I meant was, I didn't mean that you should drink Clorox. I didn't mean that you should ingest your bleach wipes. I didn't, like, dude, I got to tell you, man, how many times do things have to happen before somebody who's comfortable voting for that person says he's doing the things that people are telling him he's doing? He's doing them.
That's what fascinates me, actually, is that I don't think that dyed-in-the-wool Trump supporters, moderates they're gonna flip. They already have. I talked to a lot of them. I live in Indiana. Like we're a purple red state, you know. But
you got Mayor Pete.
But it's people that are. It's almost like religious, icons, not religious icons, like your pastors and your mega church guys.
Yeah,
they can get caught like molesting boys and doing this and doing that, and people are like, they're still cool. They're still like, well, he messed up, but he apologized. He's cool. So it takes a lot to get people to change their worldviews, which goes back to my other point, which is why I don't put any time into debating people to get them to change their worldviews. I just live my life as a beacon. And when you go, man, Terry, you always seem happy and productive, it's because, let me tell you why. It's because this is my worldview. If you'd like to know more, come get some. Yes. But I'm not going to, basically go out of my way to try to convince people that they're living life in a way that's not going to be conducive to their own lifestyle.
Yeah, I got to say that at some point, people.
What's up, Ren?
What up, brother?
People need to know the proof is in the pudding. Like, there's no arguing about whose way is better. At some point, we just got to go to the numbers. Does this guy have the life that you want? If he does, it turns out he's doing. Is this person? Can you be this person? Do you want to be this? Like, at a certain point, the facts just have to speak to themselves. Ren, welcome to the conversation.
Hey, man, it took me 20 minutes to download Chrome.
To
get in here. Yeah,
I had know what were you using before?
Well, I've never used my laptop for one of these. I've always used my phone. So I had to download everything on the laptop in order to do the thing. Yeah. Well, I was trying to be high tech this time.
Yeah,
that is. I know. Welcome to the future.
I feel like I'm missing out because I don't have a headset on. Like, I'm doing this wrong.
No, you're probably doing it. You're probably doing it right.
Well, we the number one thing, because we launched online conventions, the number one thing you need for an online convention is internet speed. So I am on a desktop, not a laptop. Yeah. It's hardlined to the internet.
Yeah.
And almost nobody, right? No one's had a hardline since Neo found that old phone booth.
No, I got an Ethernet cord going to my my PC, just because the speed is insane. Like it's like a world of difference. So
if I had a camera on my computer downstairs, it's hardwired. It's like literally right next to my router.
Yeah,
so it's hardwired in. So
that's the way to do it.
I would use. I don't have a camera on it. Yeah.
But so to catch you up, we pretty much been talking about what you probably think we've been talking about.
Yeah. I jumped in, baby.
If you got your opinions on not necessarily the cop thing in general, but like black men in America, I was telling about my experience in Comic-Con, how I took a disadvantage and turned it into an unfair advantage. Like whenever somebody describes me, they probably come to you. Hey, you're a black guy. Who's the black guy with the afro and glasses? Oh, you mean Terry Huddleston? It's nice being like, that's why my logo is what it is.
Yeah,
because like people describe me that way. I'm like, you know what? I'm making that my Colonel Sanders logo. Afro and glasses. It is.
I'll tell you what. You guys know me for how many years I was the black guy with the mohawk.
Mohawk.
That's how people found me. So I mean, if it works, it works. You
It
use
works.
it.
It's like,
You know what
hey,
I
have
mean?
you seen the white guy with the beard? Like, okay, it's just literally
Yeah,
that
right.
one. It's like, which
That's-
one?
Dude,
There you go. It's like he looks like Joseph Lamb. Like, oh, there he is, right there.
Like,
yeah. So Ren,
He's
what
freezing up.
big question is what do you want to see if you have somebody who's a friend of yours that's white? What can we ask of that person? What can you like? What's the advice? How to be an ally, be an authentic.
are
ally.
you guys going out?
I'm good if you are. We can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. You're doing like that TV classic. I'm actually sending a screenshot to my wife of your frozen face.
The Pepsi commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's totally frozen right now.
You're like a total non-technical cliche right now.
I'm waiting to see his picture move down here in backstage. Oh, he's moving again. Can you hear us, Ren? Nope. Dang. Tell you what, man.
That's funny, man.
Yeah.
That's too funny.
It's hard line versus not hard, because yours is hard line, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
It is.
We're looking at Wi-Fi in action. Oh man, now there he is. Ren, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys now. Wi-Fi is trash, man.
Wi-Fi is trash. It's total trash.
Wi-Fi
is trash, man. It's killing me.
Have you guys seen did you guys watch the Patriot Act?
Is it a movie or something?
No, well, I mean, there is a Patriot Act that's a great movie, but that's with the white guy. This is Patriot Act with the brown guy of the Indian persuasion, who is Hassan Minhaj.
Oh, the comedian.
Right? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Sacha Baron? The Sacha Baron one?
No,
okay.
Asid Hassan.
Oh, yeah, that Patriot Act. No, I haven't seen it. I know exactly what you're talking about now, though. I know what you're talking about.
There are some really famous cases in America, you guys, in which a local municipality realized what crappy service they were getting from Verizon, and they started their own internet company, and Verizon lost their gosh dang mind over having to compete against the local municipality for internet. But the rural internet is trash. There are millions of Americans without reliable internet. In 2020, there are millions of Americans without internet. Yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
Good gosh.
So Ren, the question on the table is, and you got Terry. Hopefully you feel like I'm putting my money where my mouth is. My kids are hiding behind the wall. If you lift the wall,
so many puns there. So many analogies there. I ain't saying nothing.
So Ren, how do you? What is the advice if there are white people? Because it sounds like white people. I feel like in America, white people are finally ready to listen. A certain segment. Like let me before he answers. Let me also say that black people don't think all white people are cartoon character racists. Right. Even the racists aren't cartoon character racists. That's what annoys me about these movies that come out every year about like this guy that's like a cartoon character, like, hey there boy, and inward. Like we wish white people, big guys like me and Ren, wish white people would talk like that to us. We're like dying for the day
waiting
I can
for that
unleash my anger.
It never happens. The pipe and the fucking
that doesn't happen.
First of all, and no shoes on.
Yeah. It don't happen. What happens? Sorry, Ren, you got passed over for that promotion, brother. So we don't get that type of cartoony, and this is why people get offended when you call them racist, because they're thinking of this cartoon racist character. Yeah. But to me, racism is an organization of power, is what it is. It can you could literally put all brown people in it, and it still would work. Hence the racial tensions in Africa. You're like, how the hell they got racial tensions? They're all brown. They're all black. Trust me, systemic racism finds a way.
Yeah.
This is why it's everybody's problem. Poor people are all treated like they're less than human. It's just if you're white, you're sold this kind of golden Willy Wonka ticket that you'll probably get a chance to visit the factory one day, which isn't true. We know it ain't true. Like I didn't even get the candy bar. You know what I mean? Like you got the ticket, I didn't get the candy bar, but in both cases it's fake. So I just want to say that. All right, Red, I'm shutting up right now.
All right. Okay. So the question was, how do white people who want to help?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like
what does it take? First, truthfully, you have to stop talking. We already know what the problem is. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear my friends can do this for me, and I want you guys to listen. The people who are going to listen have already listened. That's the trouble with it. The problem is we have to show, right?
Mhm.
We have to understand that pictures speak 1,000 words more than verbally, right? All of us know that visual is the key, right? People have to see it to believe it. So don't jump online and post about your had this trouble and you want to see change in whoever's community. You have to stand up, you have to go out, you have to help. You don't have to physically go on the front line or anything like that. Nobody's asking you to do that. Somehow you have to show more than you have to do, more than you have to speak, I should say. So that's for me. I want to see more of, like, okay, Danny Cooper, for example. He's one of my brothers. And when I say brother, his kids call me uncle. My kid calls him uncle. You know what I mean? So he's one of my true brothers. I'll lay down for him. So if he's able to tell his family members, don't come to my house if that's the way you're going to speak, don't ever call me again. If you're going to speak this way, trying to be slick and think it's cool for you to say certain things because we're both light complected, fuck you. You know what I mean? Can I cuss?
You already did.
I don't know the way to edit it.
You're already going to hell, my friend.
Okay. Hey, listen, I got a condo, man. I already know.
Hey, hell is full of cussers.
Listen, look, and all my friends
No, dude, I've been cussing up a storm, man. Don't
Okay, look, the party's going down.
I love cussing and make my teeth wet.
Dude, you see mine.
You love it more than me. I need to cuss some more. Apparently.
Every 5 seconds.
It's a military thing, man. It's a military thing.
Hey, it's like Tic Tacs, man. Cuss words come out. But yeah, I mean, to summarize, I love hearing it. I love when people are online telling their friends, you know, this is what we need to do. See it. But again, you're not going to change the minds of assholes who have already decided that Terry and I are less than Brad, right? Because of the amount of melanin that we possess, right? It doesn't matter how long we all went to school. It doesn't matter how well we speak. It doesn't matter how
another layer to that, though. There's another layer to that, because people that have that thought process don't even know they're having that thought process. So yeah. I know that sounds like a get out of jail free card. They're not actively going, man, just brown people are worse than white people. It's almost like thin air. It's like
that's the messed up part.
That's the messed up part. It's like you don't even realize that when they tout numbers like, well, you know, per capita, there's more blacks in jail than whites. It's like, first of all, if you were to do like an ABC 1, 2, 3, there's literally more white people in jail than anybody. Like, not, you don't have to do fractions and algebra, just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, so it ain't like, because when you say stuff like that, it has that built-in code of black people do more crime than white people. We're more genetically disposed to crime, but really we're just a bad math equation. Everything's gonna affect us more. Corona's affected us more because we're smaller. We're a smaller community than. And
on top of that, like you said, we're smaller community, but you have to think about where those numbers are from.
Yeah,
They're in projects, man. You don't have a chance to socially distance. If you live in a tenement, you know what I mean?
Right.
If you live in a high rise or something, in the projects where the buildings are literally this close, you know what I mean? So you have a disproportionate number of places to live to separate, right? Because of whatever education and jobs and all that stuff that has trickled down. I'm not gonna sit here.
It's not my fault.
and
Those
blame.
people didn't work hard and get a nicer house like I did, buddy.
Right.
And then don't be asking for me to feel sorry for them. That's the argument. It's like you're missing the point,
if you're
man.
turned down for a home loan, man, you can't get a house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
They control the narrative. You know what I mean? They control the narrative. Let's not be facetious about it whatsoever. If you do not have the means to come in there or have a good realtor or have a good lawyer or whatever you need, you cannot own a home. So you're stuck where you are. And if you can't get out of the hole because you are owing to this person and this person, then you can't gain the capital, right? Key. And having income, the numbers and all that kind of BS, man. It's all about numbers, man. It's all about credit and all that stuff, and they control all that. You know, they control it. They allow.
My dad's parents came over here as a Irish immigrant, and they were able to, and white, you hear this and you're like, you're still missing the point. There's still a difference. Like, why was he able to make it so quickly to where he went from being a poor Irish man and then in 2 generations his son's the president type of shit, right? There's a reason why the people are able to move in a certain strata, but those are old because now those avenues have been closed up because there's no good middle class jobs anymore. That are going to change your income bracket. And they've done a thing where they've thrown a bone into the bottom half of America. So all the poor white, black, and brown people are fighting over one bone. This is what me and Brad was talking about, is that I feel like we gotta explode an entrepreneurial movement in America from the bottom up. I'm not instead of giving trillions to corporations, failing corporations, give trillions to the bottom. I don't care about the 10,000 abusers, because the 100 million users that are going to use it right we're going to make so much money with that money. It's going to be crazy. It's like if America fronted everybody a kilo of cocaine, but in the form of business opportunity. Like, how much could you step on? Like, okay, so I can cut this off, spread it out, and make way more money with this 10K a year I'm going to be getting from the government, which ain't even a lot of money.
And that's the thing. Business-minded people like the three of us will be able to make those type of moves, right? Now you're always going to have those people who never and don't know what to do with money. Let's be real about it. They're gonna lose it, and that's fine. But there's people like us that's going to pick it up, and we're going to still.
They're going to lose to us. We're going to be the people that get that money. So
exactly,
I want give the irresponsible people the money, because we'll get that money. Not J.C. Penney's and Sears. It'd be us dumbasses with that money. And it's like, this is how middle classes get made.
Look, there can be a mechanism. There's no reason in 2020 that we can't have a hotline, and everyone who thinks they have a good idea gets to call in. So let's spend the first $1 million on putting entrepreneurs in seats who recognize a good idea when they hear one. And everybody can call in, and if your idea gets picked up, then we start you on a fast track. We get you out of where you're going. We take you to a pool where you can work in a group environment with other like-minded entrepreneurial people. Like, there's no reason, Terry and Ren, that we can't in 2020. We can't use the same mechanisms that we've been using for 100 years. We've got to do something new. And if ideas are a dime a dozen, great. You know why rich people get richer? Because they can bring to fruition every idea that they have.
No, wrong. They can bring to fruition every idea that their employees have. Think
Exactly.
about that power.
And they take those ideas.
They take
and they
those
make money off
ideas
those ideas.
and make bank while Joe Schmo that invented the iPad,
Yeah.
the real guy that invented the iPad,
Yeah.
we don't know who he is.
Right.
It's probably some Chinese kid. You know what I mean?
We're just finding out who really made Jack Daniels. Let's be real
we're
about
just
it.
finding out who got us to the moon. Like, you know what I mean? Them black ladies ain't rich. You know what I mean? Don't anybody think of black ladies in NASA synonymously when we were growing up? We thought about Neil Armstrong and all, and Buzz Lightyear, not Buzz Lightyear, Buzz Aldrin.
Buzz Lightyear.
I did that on purpose to piss off some people.
You're right the first time. You're right the first time.
We don't think about that, and stuff like that is what I'm talking about. We need to invest in the minds of the average Joe. Think of it if you're a stock investor. If you invest in people, you're actually more safe and diversified.
Oh,
because we got more going on than one company.
James Altucher, any of you guys listen to James Altucher?
I do not.
He has been advocating for people to stop getting tens of thousands of dollars in debt for years, avoid college, and choose yourself. And
yeah, I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're going to be a specialist. If you know I want to be a brain surgeon,
oh, sure.
Take your ass to college. I don't want no street surgeon.
Yes.
You know, I don't want
to. I have said on many occasions, man. I've told people art college was a scam.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Art college is
going to be a director or something. You don't need a degree,
dude. Art directors don't get paid that much.
Yeah.
I thought, man, like I think that's like 40K. That ain't nothing.
Is that right?
Yeah. Like, dude, I can probably rise up
and
ever
asked me for my diploma.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever asked me for my diploma.
Ever.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not a
ever.
Yeah. I think
I lost a lot of money on that. They got me.
You got a 4-year?
No, dude, I dropped out.
Oh, okay. Because I got a bachelor's, but yeah,
Sally Mae is in my ass.
I have 3 of them, and my credit score is lower than anyone's I know because of that college debt.
Yeah, there you go.
Because
college is trash if you like you said, if you're not a specialist.
Yeah. I
learned trade is much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's we talked about that too. That trade school needs to be the way.
Oh,
hey, trade school is.
I mean, imagine how much a motorcycle mechanic can be getting paid right now. Like that's cool. Everybody get motorcycles.
I need a motorcycle mechanic right now.
See,
I need somebody to look at my bike. Hey, if anybody out there is in Columbus, come check me out, man.
And why do we have to wait a week to get an electrician over? Like, why do I have to wait? Why can't I get a plumber for 2 weeks unless my toilet is putting 100 gallons of water on my floor every hour? Like, it's crazy. The people that really are needed in our world have a very special skill, and that is cheaply obtained.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you actually, in my hood, we got a lot of like alley mechanics and street plumbers. Like, if they just know how to do the shit, we ain't asking for no paper. Like, hey, how much you like? I'll install this shit for $25. Bet, here you go.
Yeah.
My father-in-law was like that. That's how I learned half the stuff I learned, because now he used to be an accredited plumber, but then he basically, fell behind on paying his dues, but he still had the skills. So he knew how to turn the water on from the street and all that stuff. And man, the hood kept him paid. He was actually one of the major reasons why I got the truth of knowing that if you have a skill set, it's like walking around with a revolver on your hip. Like you'll never like I can go to prison and still thrive.
Yeah,
I could go to any time. I can go to white collar, regular gym pop. People gonna want their naked lady pictures, and I'm gonna be able to draw it for them because I'm adaptable and I ain't trying to get dropped. So it's like
I'll tell you what, I learned how to work on my home. And it's probably the best thing I've ever had to do, because the first couple of years I lived here, when I bought this house, the first couple of things I ever had to do, I was calling people, right? And they were kicking my bank's ass.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm looking at them. I'm like, man, you didn't do shit.
Yes.
You know what I mean? What the fuck are you doing in my furnace? Okay. Next time this shit happens, I know what to do.
Look at my Wi-Fi you installed. Look how terrible this
You know what
is.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
these guys
look
suck.
at this shit. Dude, I fixed my own furnace. I fixed
my own furnace too.
now.
Furnaces
Dude,
are so
I put
easy.
my water heater in.
They're complicated, scary monsters, but they're easy at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
certain things I wouldn't want to do. Fucking around with that gas.
See, I had to fix my thermocouple twice, and I had to change my blower engine twice, which is easy.
I changed my blower engine and I changed my water heater. Fuck, dude.
Water heater is easy. Yeah.
I put in a trash compactor and installed a switch and a plug. Dude, I know how to do all kinds of shit now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
and now I can go to somebody's house and be like, yo, give me $20. I'll do it.
Yeah.
give me a pack of Newports and $20.
And a Coke 45. I'm down.
45.
Yeah. We called a guy over. We were looking at outside spigots, and I'm watching him, and he's like, Rachel tells me, all right, Brad, it's $600 to fix everything. I was like, can you walk me through this? I just need you to take me through this. And he's like, upstairs, blah, 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 276. Okay, here, 2, over there, 400. I was like, okay, but isn't that just the vacuum breaker? Isn't that like, because I have been on YouTube and I'm like looking up things and like,
yeah,
it's made up. I'm looking at diagrams online. I was like, isn't that just the vacuum breaker? He's like, yeah. Well, don't I just unscrew the vacuum breaker and then go to Lowe's and literally just screw in a new vacuum breaker? And he's like,
he hated your ass right there. that dude was probably like, man, I can't stand dealing with white people. That's probably what he was thinking. Like, God, hey white people always doing research.
The game, man. YouTube is changing the game.
That's what we were saying that earlier.
I spent 45 minutes before I put in my new bathroom, dude. I was ripping stuff out. I was like, all right. So he did this. All right. Put the new tub in, boom. Put the new backsplash in, boom. Put the new vanity in, boom.
Yeah.
Floors, everything.
Yeah.
Brand new bathroom, man.
Cool. Hey, Brad, I'm gonna jump off of here, man. And that way you can grill Ren, and we can hopefully with this single session fix the black problem. It'll be done. It'll be done after this.
It's gonna be done.
Tomorrow when you wake up, Terry, racism will be gone.
When I wake up, I'll be like, "What's that in the air? That smells like Teen Spirit."
Good luck with that.
Yeah, no, I know. But all right, y'all have fun. I'll see y'all around. No problem, man.
All right, brother.
So,
hey,
Brand, it's good to see you, man.
Oh man, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, I saw some things online that I got to tell you, Ren. If I was there and I had something that I could wield, I would probably be in a place with a lot less freedom.
Hey, I'm with you.
I can't.
It's depressing, man.
Well, to me, it's enraging. I literally want to go. Like, I want to get in a car and I want to be violent. I want to be protective. I'll tell you what, there was one cool image that I saw of a line of police approaching a black man on his knees, and a white chick ran in front of him and stood there.
Yeah.
And
see, that's what we need. That type of action is what we need. And it's nonviolent. That's the main thing, right? It's show of solidarity.
Right.
It's a show of passion, compassion. And the hardest part about this is we should not have to keep saying that we know that all the cops are not bad.
Yeah. I'm
the
over
problem is it's old. It's an old message because the problem is the 99% of the good cops, let's put it in quotes, are not stopping the 1% of the bad ones. They're standing aside and allowing them to do what they do because of whatever brotherhood or whatever thing that they have. Now, as a 10-year U.S. Army veteran, that does not or should not exist, right?
Yeah.
You do your job, and if somebody under you, as a sergeant, right? I was a sergeant before I got out. If my soldiers did something wrong, and I knew that it would impact the rest of the troop or could harm them, I stopped them right then and took care of it, right? So, and then later on, if they needed some more discipline, then we had to write them up or whatever the case might have been. I wasn't about writing someone up. My thing was, I'm gonna fix it. Stop doing this, right? You're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna hurt that person over there for no reason. And I also want to say a lot of people who believe that having the military come to their cities is gonna be for their benefit. It's not.
It's not.
It's absolutely not. The cool thing about it is the military have a completely different standard than your normal police officers. They have a lot more patience, a lot more discipline.
Yeah.
They're not about going to shoot somebody first and asking questions later. So if the police believe that those soldiers are going to do what they do or follow their lead, they're absolutely wrong. Those are people like myself who are beside people of color, Asians, Spanish people, white people, everybody, and they sleep, they eat next to those people every day. So they understand how brotherhood works, right? Yeah. If you're on deployment, you don't go home afterwards, right? You are in the bunk right next to the person that you might have hated 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And you understand that that person holds your life in their hands, right? And obviously, we know everybody has different backgrounds, and you have people from different walks of life, right? My first time having racism in my face was in the Army. I want to say that. My first real experience with absolute stupidity of racism was in the Army. And I hate to say it, I beat the motherfucker up, but I had to. And he learned a lesson. I learned a lesson, right? But I grew up in a white neighborhood. We've talked about this before. I grew up in a white neighborhood in Virginia, in Hampton, Virginia, right? In a U.S. Air Force retirement community. When I first moved there, me and my brother and I were the only black children in our neighborhood.
Right, the whole thing.
Right? And when I left at 19 years old, there were maybe 20 kids, families, black families in my whole neighborhood. I mean, the whole thing, right? So it's I never really saw systemic racism. You know, we saw the looks and you know, we heard little things, but it wasn't like you know, like Terry said, the cartoon racism.
Sure.
Right. And in basic training, I had a guy ask me where I hid my tail in my PT shorts. And I'm like, what? And I knew the stories. I know the story about, you know, where that came from. I don't know if you know.
Instantly in my head, that's the first time that I've been able to connect the racist term "coon" to a story. So
it's in the old days, the slave masters or the people who lived in the plantations would tell the children if they weren't good that they would be kidnapped. What they would tell the children is that all the slaves, the black people, turned into monkey people, and they kidnapped bad white children. So that's how they kept their children in line. So yeah, that's where the tales come from.
Wow.
Yeah, they would tell them that they would be kidnapped by the monkey people.
Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
So now that I'm hearing you say that, I wonder, because Dragon Ball Z is a race of monkey people with tails
Yeah.
that constantly save the Earth, and I wonder if that isn't anti-racist.
I don't. Now I do know that after we fought the war, the U.S. sent materials over to Japan, and a lot of those materials were pamphlets and videos of what America was about, right? And they
Western,
sent those Mammy and Jigaboo and the slope face, all that stuff. They sent that to them, right? A lot of the literature and stuff that was back in the 50s and the 40s. They sent a lot of that stuff over there, so that was their impression of us. So if you look at a lot of their early cartoons,
yeah,
even in some of the early Dragon Ball Z, whenever they used a black person,
right,
they looked at that because that's what they thought.
yeah,
Mr. Popo is the
Yeah.
greatest example
yeah,
of what their perception of us was,
right.
and still is to a point. I mean, the Japanese, the Asian race, for the most part, have given a chance to let a lot of that go, but they still don't like black people, right? They shun their own if they have mixed children.
I have a lot of friends that are over there on a regular basis. You know, I'm very much part of that industry, and I have to tell you, one of my friends who has pink hair literally felt that when she walked into the room, and they were actually with government officials. Pokemon Go Pokemon is a very big deal. It's a national treasure in Japan, and she absolutely. These two YouTubers, one was black and the other one was a female with absolutely pink hair, that when they came back over, shared their experience of not being treated anywhere near the same way that the white men, or even men that appeared to be white, were by the government that they visited.
Well, they have that thought process. I mean, you think about and I've known a lot of Asian people in the army, in college, especially in my life as an illustrator. You saw, I dated a few, right? And they can't tell their parents about their boyfriends. I mean, I had a buddy who he ended up marrying his girlfriend. They were in college. He ended up marrying her, and her family disavowed her because she was in love with a black guy, right?
It was Asian.
Yeah. So, you know, it was amazing to see, and it's super sad, dude. But it's like that all over the world, just about. I'll tell you what, Germans love us though.
Yeah.
Germans love us, man. It's crazy.
Well, there's a lot of in what you're describing is very much part of just the immigrant community. Marrying having your parents immigrate and then marrying outside of your community, whether it be Indian, whether it be Asian, whether it be black, whether it be it's almost traumatic that what the family experiences is trauma. And I don't. Well, I think we're a long way. I think we'll solve racism in general before we solve racism in particular.
Yeah.
And
well, I'll tell you what, that's a good start for me. I mean, any change is a good change, and I think we're able to have these type of conversations, which is amazing to me. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate. I have long said that I listen to a lot of people's language. I'm a Trevor Noah guy. Are you a Trevor Noah guy?
I love it. I love him. He's
And
a very intelligent man.
very. And a lot of that comes from his study of people and people's language in particular.
Yeah.
That he studies that, and his use of their accent is an attempt to familiarize himself with the people, and that he wants to address somebody in the way that makes him sane.
Yeah.
And so if he's talking to a German, he'll slip into a German accent. If he's talking to somebody, there's a dozen or more dialects in Africa, he will slip into a particular African dialect. And it's an attempt to understand another person in the way that they, it's been incredible to watch him come to America and become part of the national landscape as a South African.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, Trevor Noah works because he's not black and he's not white.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And truthfully, I don't understand how Obama wasn't able to do the same thing. You know, because they are both exactly the same, right? They're both mixed race.
Yeah.
So
I feel like with Obama, to me, I have long had the belief that he's an incredible person.
Yeah.
He was not the best president.
He wasn't. There were a lot of things but see, the presidency is an odd job, right?
I guess what we all wanted was stop the drone strikes.
Yeah.
Stop fighting wars in other countries. There was a lot of things that when that 8 years were over, we look back and we go, what was the difference between Republican and Democrat?
Yeah.
I'm looking at Bush, and we're still in Afghanistan, and we're still in Iraq, and we're still killing people with like it's a video game, and all that happens under Barack Obama, just like it happened. Yeah. Oil companies we're still nowhere on renewables. Oil, it's drill, 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 and it doesn't matter. Like, I think a lot of what happened with Obama is that he spent his political life was this big, and then he was president.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I know they spent $1 billion to get him there. I don't know fully who they are, meaning $1 billion didn't come from small donors.
Yeah.
They came from people that put him in a place. And he would always say the right thing. He's incredible. He's still, to this day, Jimmy Carter and Barack Obama constantly are the voice of reason, the voice of what is going on, the voice of being willing to call out stupidity and injustice and illegality and violation to the rule of law.
Yeah.
But as a president, I feel like, and again, we'll never know what kind of hands were tied. We'll never know to what extent he looked somebody in the eye and said, there's no way I can be the guy to do this. And they go, you can, I'll kill your kids. We don't know, but I feel like because Trevor Noah was blessed enough, lucky enough, fortunate enough to go into the entertainment industry at a time where we very much revere freedom of the press.
Right.
He has been able to say things. And in a way, like, he's just been given enough time to talk that we're now listening.
Right. Right.
Whereas we never gave Barack Obama enough time. Will Smith is a guy for me, who's been talking for so long that I sit back and I go, damn, like, that man has something to say. And I feel like Barack Obama did not have enough time to talk.
Right.
And because he was so busy doing the job of president that we lost track of the person that Barack Obama is. And we're now, because he's been given another 4 years in the spotlight. Because every time DJT mentions his name, he's going to trend up to the top. It's only helping him have a wider audience and a bigger platform. And he's been talking for now 12 years, now 16 years.
Yeah.
Well,
Right. And I agree with a lot of that. I mean, I think with the presidency, there's so many checks and balances. There's so many
there should be
levels. But if you have someone that is so dead set on shutting you down with everything you say, everything you want to achieve, now I see that he, when his 8 years over, he did a lot, right? Maybe he didn't take the military out of different countries, but you can't, right? You can't just take military out of different places, especially if those places are still kind of volatile, right? Kosovo is a prime example. That war has been over forever. The reason we're still there is because the invading army literally, and I tell you literally, I was in Kosovo.
Sure.
They literally have tanks at the border waiting for the military to leave. And we started to leave the year before I got there. And they immediately started to advance the tanks. And we had to go back. You know what I mean? So that's one of those hands tied, I can't do anything situations. If you begin to remove, if you know somebody's waiting to break into your house and you have an alarm system, and they see that you have someone come to take down your alarm system, guaranteed that night they're going to break into your house, right?
Yeah.
And those are unfortunately the situations. The military, in my opinion, truthfully, I hate the role that the military has been used to play. I don't agree with the military being in other countries. I don't believe that we should have a base in Korea, in Germany, in Australia, in
South Korea,
Hawaii, any of those places, right? Any of those places, there should be no U.S. military base, because those are their own countries. It's like if you and I, and I've used this analogy so many times, I don't understand how people don't see it. If you and I get into a fight and you beat me up, you now have a closet in my house that you can come to my house anytime you want and go into my closet. Right? Because it's yours now. You've decided, you put your clothes, you've got pants, you've got dirty underwear in that closet, but it's my house, right?
Right.
And that's how I see the U.S. military bases in other countries. We don't need a base in Korea.
Right.
We don't need a base in Korea. We don't need a base in Hawaii, right? We don't need a base in Germany, whatever. But we have it. We have one there, but we don't have one in England, right?
Yeah.
We don't have one in, Russia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how come we have those places we have a base in those other places? We could just fly to Saudi Arabia whenever we want.
Yeah.
And land airplanes and freaking bombers in their country, and they're not destroying those things. I'd burn all your underwear.
Yeah.
Brad, I would burn all your drawers, and you come over here, and there'd be a pile of dirty drawers burnt up in the yard. You know what I mean? But that's the way the world is right now. You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of countries really don't like us. You know what I mean? We are world bullies. And again, I served, dude, and I never understood being able to go to Germany and we had a base to practice in their country,
Right.
shooting missiles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yep. I'd
it's
certainly.
crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy. I asked Terry if he was a libertarian guy, and he said on paper he probably pencils out as a libertarian, but he just can't bring himself. I very much. There were some really crazy things that have been said this year in terms of the authority of the person in the presidency and the authority of the government.
Yeah.
That are very disturbing.
Yeah.
And as a constitutional scholar, that the Federalist Papers addressed this stuff. Like, this is how we crafted the document that is the Constitution of the United States of America to limit the power of the president, limit the power of the central government, limit the this. It has been unbelievable to witness the federal government attempt to bully states into doing things that where states have elected their own autonomous governors to govern the state, and to look at a state and go, I don't like the way you're playing by the rules. Turns out no medical supplies will be coming your way. We have violated the principles that our country was founded. Yeah,
absolutely, and that comes from a person who has no idea what his role is.
Right.
That guy has absolutely no clue what his boundaries are, what his limitations are.
Right.
And the problem with that is you have a cadre of people who have spent their lives in certain roles that can tell you what your limitations are, and he refuses to listen to them.
One of the things that blows my mind that was pointed out is, why give medical advice when the person standing next to you is a doctor? To me, that is common sense. Why would you feel the need to say whatever you want, qualify it, but there's a person standing next to you that does not need to qualify anything they've said?
What it is.
So
they can answer any medical questions asked, and he will not allow them to do it.
No one else has the mic, and that to me is, and that'll bring us full circle in terms of why I wanted to bring people on screen to use the platform that we've created, that we've built, to ask the question: if you have a microphone and there's an important issue, i.e., I'm a concerned white person, why would I keep talking when I can simply turn the microphone over and say, hey, Ren, can you please educate me on the Black experience?
And that's powerful, right? There's so many people that up until 2 weeks ago, I had no idea that they felt the way that they felt, right? And these are people that I've seen for years at the shows. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, I don't understand how you are more concerned with a building than an American life. I had to change someone's wording 2 days ago. And I'm going to paraphrase. I don't exactly remember what the quote was, but they said something in the line of, there were people out guarding a Black-owned business with guns, and I'm like, no. What you saw was a photo of Americans guarding an American-owned business. We have to stop this black and white. It's a construct. It's a construct to separate us, and verbally it separates us further. You and I we have the exact same organs.
Yeah.
We have the our bones, our skin, our everything is made up of the exact same atoms and molecules, right? I'm browner than you. That's it. That's absolutely it.
Except for the
Right?
40 you have on me. That's like, yeah. I mean, there's a small difference between. I
Hey,
mean,
listen,
I did.
I just finished working out in the basement, man. That's gonna go down in about 20 minutes. Let me go ahead and push that out there. Listen, I'll be paper thin in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But like, we're the same. We are absolutely the same. There's subtle differences, and most of that is basic geography, right?
True.
The world has molded us to survive in certain conditions, just like tigers, man. An Indian tiger and a tiger, from the Arctic.
Yeah.
They're the same family member.
Yeah.
But they look different,
Yeah.
right? However, they're the exact same animal in basis, right?
Yeah.
So I don't understand if you can look at cats, house cats, and see all the different colors and say, oh, well, those are different cats, but they're cats. Why is it so hard to be able to agree that we are the same animal? We are people, right? I just understand it. And the problem is a person like myself who sees the atrocities happening to people that look like me based solely on skin color.
Right.
Why I have to say it to someone who doesn't look like me solely based on skin color, right? It's frustrating. I don't even get angry anymore. Like at 44 now, I think I'm 44. I can't, it boggles me now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm past angry. My 20s were full of anger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My 30s were partial anger. My 40s, dude, my fight is over. I'm simply trying to figure out where it comes from. You know, why it doesn't click for some people that we are the same, right?
Yeah.
I understand the people who don't want us to be together. Those people are lonely and they're something's disconnected. They don't they feel like if we're all together that somehow they're going to be destroyed, that they're going to disappear or something. But we are absolutely stronger as a country together.
Yeah.
You know, we are absolutely stronger as a world together. If we were together, dude, hunger would be gone.
Yeah, there's enough money and food to get rid of
Poverty would disappear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's people who believe that I'm going to take what they have. I don't want what you have.
Yeah, I just want enough for me.
I just want enough for me.
Yeah.
Right? I just want to survive.
Yeah.
And there's people digging in. I just want to be able to take care of my family.
Yep.
I want to see you take care of your family.
Yeah.
I want everybody to grow and be able to survive, dude. And that's it. It's a simple law that should be enacted in every life, like a life law, you know, that everybody is created equally, right?
Yeah.
So we have the same liberty and pursuit of happiness that everybody else. However, there's people who feel like everybody's created equally as long as you don't mess with my equality. Your equal is
Animal Farm.
Is this exactly?
Yeah.
Your equal is better than my equal. How does that work? You know, how is someone's equality more important than someone else's equality if it's supposed to be equal?
Yeah.
You're losing the math.
Yeah.
So,
I think I have, for too long, I have heard of how concerned people are with abuse.
right.
And I frankly am sick and tired of the argument that if I did it, so can you. But the problem is there's a black tax in America. And if you're not black, you don't pay the tax. The problem is that if you have a history of marriages lasting in your family, then there's a good chance your marriage is going to last. If you have a history of education in your family, there's a good chance you'll be educated. If everyone in your family buys life insurance, well, then inevitably your family will be rich after enough people buy and die with life insurance. Like there's certain things that like what people don't understand is that this is cumulative. That the black tax is the black tax because if you go back 3 generations, 4 generations in your family, where is your family? And are you ahead? But if you go back 3 or 4 generations in a black family, they're in chains, Ren. They're on a boat, Ren. They don't live in a house that they own. They don't have an education. They're illiterate. And that stuff compounds.
Right.
And it's only so reasonable to tell somebody who has to pay this black tax or the brown tax or a yellow tax or a red tax. I mean, at what point are we going to talk about the fact that we're all living on land that we stole from indigenous Americans?
And they are living in spaces that nobody wants.
Let's talk about what reservations look like. Let's talk about what like it is unbelievable to talk about. Yet we are living on the land that we stole from indigenous people that we have told you can have a separate nation, but it's in this desert. It's in this Arizona desert, the New Mexico desert, the Nevada desert, like the Oklahoma in the plains where nobody lives.
Right.
And you look at the population of the states in which we gave people their own nation. Nobody lives there.
Nobody wants to live there. Yeah. People have had to live there.
Yes.
Because they were forced to live there or they were murdered.
We in North Carolina, if you made more than $700, you could have no assistance on health insurance. If that's not an impetus to stay under that level, to earn 700, Randall, I at the time I had 4 kids and we were denied any sort of assistance. So our kids received help, but we're self-employed. And I got to tell you, we spent our money on employees. We spent our money trying to help those people that we saw around us. How many times, right? I will put money in your pocket at a show before I leave the show. Before I even count what goes to me, I will walk over to you and say, here's for this project we're working on. Here's the money. And by the time Tuesday rolls around, all the artists we work with, all the employees, all the royalties have been paid, but that stuff didn't see my pocket.
Right.
And the state of North Carolina said you made too much.
Wow.
So we are incentivizing the abuse of the system that people are so concerned will happen because of the systemic nature of poverty and racism in America.
And this is another thing. Like it always kills me how all business owners and lower middle class and poor people don't understand that we're in the same boat, right? I've got friends of mine who just wanted to have the same opportunity, and that's all we can ask. But I've got a friend who's all about his small business, and he's all about having to be able to work hard and live the dream. And oh man, I fought this and I fought that, and I'm gonna get to this point, and oh man, I'm never gonna stop. I'm like, that's cool, dude. However, when you went to the bank to get the loan for your business, they said, okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They said, no problem. We'll give you 10 grand. Let me do that. Exact same qualifications.
Yeah.
I may be able to do it, but then again, I may not. That's the chance. You know, a bank may not take the risk
right
on me, you know, the same as they would for someone else, right?
Yeah.
And that's absolutely wrong. You know, in the 50s and the 60s, when blacks were starting to be able to buy houses, HUD was formed, and I'm sure you know about this. White families were the main beneficiaries of HUD, and black families were on small levels afforded help through HUD, and they were buying homes. So what they did was the white families moved out because they felt as if being would bring down the property value, right?
It's called white flight. It's part of our history.
Exactly. So you had those once nice neighborhoods abandoned, and then those homes were made to be Section 8.
Right.
Which brought in people who absolutely did not need to be there.
Didn't feel the
could not.
No pride.
And they absolutely broke down that neighborhood, right? Which was proof.
Right.
Oh, you can't let the blacks in because they'll tear everything up. Well, you're renting out these places to people who don't know what to do with them or have no means
to repair them,
properly take care of these places,
to replace siding,
to fix the fences, you know, the roads.
Yeah.
And the cities abandoned those public areas.
Right.
So the potholes grew, and the sidewalks were destroyed, and the trees were overgrown.
Yep.
And so the people in the area were like, well, if they don't care about us, why should we care about it?
Yes.
You know, so it continued. The cycle continued. Oh, don't let those people come in here.
Yeah.
Dude, I've lived in this house. I live in a wonderful neighborhood. I've lived in this neighborhood probably 14, 15 years. When I bought this house, the lady across the street has never spoken to me. Never.
15 years.
Dude, I walk out my house and see her house every day. My neighbor Sam, old West Virginia guy.
Yeah.
Speaks to me every day. Like, this guy's like 80 years old. Like, he's an old guy. Like, he's probably called people the N-word like 45 times. But he has told me he loves me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the guy next to the lady, he came to me last summer. He's like, dude, old white, all my neighbors are white. This guy said, he said, man, we love having you in the neighborhood. And he spoke as if it was because of my military background, but I knew what it was.
Yeah.
You know, you know that
you keep us safe from other black people.
Right. Exactly. In a neighborhood like this, you're like, oh my God, a black person, but I'm quiet. I don't make any noise. My son doesn't have any problems. You know what I mean? My family doesn't cause any trouble.
Yep.
So we speak. They speak.
Yeah.
But this lady, man, I think she hates me. You know? And that's fine too. That's fine as well, you know. Yeah, I mean, that's a long time to never speak to your neighbor.
We had some neighbors really make some trouble for us, all because one of our tenants at the house hired the neighbor, old guy, to mow the lawn. Well, he ran his lawnmower onto the gravel driveway, shot rocks, broke out windows in the guy's car, and my tenant who hired him was like, "You're gonna fix that, right?" And he's like, "Oh, it was an accident." Like, great, awesome, but still fix it because the accident with your hand on the lawnmower. They got The next thing I know,
Wow.
the neighbor's telling me you can't have a duplex. And so my neighbor walks around to all the other neighbors and tells them, I'm doing something fishy and I'm going to tear down this historic home and I'm going to put in an apartment building because I have two people there. So like, because when we got accused of having an illegal duplex, we're like, we'll just rezone it.
Right.
There's this whole plan in Winston-Salem to increase high density housing near downtown to allow for more people to take advantage of the services and the new baseball stadium and the hospital, the teaching hospital. So I'm like, great, my house fits right in there. We're high density housing close to that. This is great. Planning board, sales through the planning board. They put out the sign in my yard says I'm going to rezone it. It was just to keep the house the same.
Right.
But he's like, oh, I know how to win this. This guy lives in North Dakota. I'm gonna go talk to all the neighbors and just lie to him because he can't defend himself. Well, I get word of what's going on. I fly in. I take time off of my job to fly in to defend my house. I talk to my neighbor next to me and he goes, Brad, I live across the street from this guy. If I tell the truth, he'll hate me forever. But you don't even live here.
Wow.
He told me
Hey, give me a second. Give me 1 second.
Do it.
Mike, I need to get my my charger. Hey, Dare. Bring my charger to me, please.
Now the truth is it going to work?
All right. Okay.
That's it. Not all the time as a parent does that work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, right? Well, mine knows better.
Yeah. It's yeah. Well, that's when I asked Terry. I said, "What do we do?" And he said, "Don't raise a piece of trash. If white people want to help the situation, don't raise somebody who's going to end up being racist. Yeah. Don't raise someone that's uneducated. Don't raise." So Rand, what do we do? Because I feel like a lot of it is in the situation with your neighbor. She just doesn't have any friends that are black. She doesn't have a single friend.
Not. Absolutely not. And she's, and I hate to use it, she's a Karen. And I'm not totally unsure that her name is not really Karen. For the computer.
For the laptop, yeah.
Yeah. You can see that she is church going.
Sure.
That, the whole trope, the Republican, the church going, the things like that. And I'm sure she's a wonderful lady. I'm sure that in her mind she absolutely no ill will.
Right.
She may be, the type of person that only sees the color of what she sees on television. And she may even be ashamed that she's never spoken to us. Or she might be waiting on us to speak to her, which, in my opinion, if I move in to a place,
yes,
I shouldn't have to speak to my neighbors.
Like they should come and say, "Hey, welcome
me to their neighborhood," right? But it's just one of those things, Yeah.
No, I'm with you. We had, when we moved back from being on tour, we were in North Dakota. Then we lived in an RV like crazy white people with our four. And then finally got enough, figured out what we were doing with our lives, moved back in. Part of it was the result of the neighbor. They screwed us so bad, we had to build a set of stairs inside our house. We had to unconvert it from a duplex that we didn't convert it to as a result of this neighbor being willing to lie and my other neighbor not, like it reminds me of Terry and I were talking, and what we need is for good people to stop standing by.
Right.
We need good people that know the truth and know the right thing to do to stop watching other people do bad things.
Right. And stop watching other people suffer.
Yeah. Let it bother you a little bit.
It absolutely bothers me, man. I pride myself in helping people, and I've done it since I was young. I've helped people that needed the help, right? I was bullied as a kid, and when I was able to, I helped the bullied from bullies.
Right.
And I'm of the mind that if you do something for someone, it doesn't need to be televised. It doesn't need to be, you know,
Just
put
do
out there in the world. Just do it.
Yeah.
If it's not out of the kindness of your heart, don't do it. You know, if you need attention for it, then it's not for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So I've always loved people who I've seen help others however they can. You know,
Right.
I know everybody can't, you know, hand out money or, you know, spend time or whatever the case might be. However you can help. If you can speak on behalf of someone who doesn't have the voice, if you're able to walk for someone that doesn't have the strength, then that is enough, you know, many times. And it doesn't have to be based on your color. It doesn't have to be based on your religion. It doesn't have to be based on your political affiliation. I've said plenty of times on my page, I don't care in the least
Yeah.
who you voted for.
Yeah.
I don't care what your political views are. I don't care what you fundamentally believe in, as long as you do not separate the job from the human, which is where we're at now.
Yeah.
Which is the situation we're in now, and have been for a long time. There is no blue life to me. There is none. It's a job.
Right.
They the people who are in those uniforms are individual people.
Sure. Yeah.
And each individual has its own mind. If these were robots and they were programmed to follow the rules,
right,
like a RoboCop,
yeah,
then everything would be perfect and we wouldn't have these situations.
Yeah.
But we have individuals who come from different groups.
Yep.
Let's be real about it. They come from different groups and they have agendas.
Yeah.
All they have to do is sign up for the police academy and get that badge.
Yes.
And they have free reign to enact those tropes.
Well, and that research has been done. I mean, if somebody falsely, erroneously believes that everybody that goes for that position in life is doing it out of the kindness of their heart or doing it out of a sense of duty or justice, you're uneducated.
Right.
And it is implicit bias training. In fact, I was grateful enough. I'm a guy that I sure don't want to open my mouth unless I've got some education behind the words that are going to come out of my mouth.
Right. Because somebody will fact check you.
Well, sure. I mean, not that matters in 2020.
Right.
I hold on to hope that one day the truth will matter again. So I was at a tropical smoothie cafe and a police officer walked in and I was like, hey, we're both waiting for our smoothies. Can I ask you some questions?
Yeah.
It's like, please tell me about implicit bias training. Please tell me about, are police made aware that they're putting, when they put on that blue suit, that they're hiding some things that are underneath there, right, that they may not have dealt with, that they're going to bring that to how fast they go to their hip. That's going to drive the decision between the taser hip and the pistol hip. Right. There are things in their own life and how they were parented and whether they were abused or not abused, whether their parents loved them or, you know what I mean? Like, right, all of that goes into that blue suit. And it's, that experience motivates far more racism or not racism. Yeah. If you're a product of domestic violence and you put on a blue suit, you are much more likely to commit violence or to use violence as your tool to enact the rule of law than somebody who comes from a place where they felt loved their whole life. And that is just as important to keep in mind when we train people, when we evaluate people, because too often the most important jobs, firemen, police, teacher, are low paying. We're taking who we get because we don't pay enough. We can't demand.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like we have a problem in our country where we allow drug manufacturers to tell you why you should go ask a doctor who paid $200,000 for a degree, but you've diagnosed yourself based on a commercial that you need this drug, but then those advertising dollars that could be spent to better our world go instead to, right? When the police and the fire and the teachers make 28,000 starting,
right?
30 low 30,000 starting.
Or volunteer. Yeah. It's and I tell people all the time, man, is you have these people who are working long hours, and this is where I'm on the side of the blue. You're working long hours, even if you're not a raging racist. You're working long hours. You're hungry. You don't have a proper lunch break, and you know, whatever the case might be, and you absolutely have certain situations that can be dangerous to you.
Yeah, life threatening.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you signed up for that. You have the proper protection or adequate protection
as much as you
when
can.
you leave the station.
Right.
Right. Why is there a separation between how you treat one person versus another person? There's so many videos that I watch, and oh my God, dude, it's ridiculous how well police are trained and use that training when they want to.
Yes.
You have situations where people are literally shooting at you and you can bring them in safely.
Yes.
Right? You have a person that will run to you with a knife in their hand and you can take them down safely.
Yeah.
You have people who jump into your car and steal it, and those people can go home
that night after
later, right?
Yeah.
So it can be that way for everyone.
It can.
It absolutely it has been proven that every situation could lead to that. You know, that everyone goes home or goes to jail where they belong, if that's where they belong.
Yeah.
But are absolutely able to diffuse a situation if they want to. 99.9% of people, and I watch Cops for way too long.
Oh, the show, the television show?
The show. Yeah. Most people don't fight police officers back.
They don't.
They don't fight back. They run. If I were to get into a fight with another person, they would fight me.
Yeah.
As soon as the police officer grabs the person's arm, even if they're resisting, they're only pulling away. They're not fighting back.
Right. I see what you mean.
So they've used that narrative to quantify escalation.
Right. Or to justify
it justify it, right? And on the American people, absolutely the wrong way. You know, and we end up in situations like this.
Yeah.
You know, where it boils over, it compounds, and after a while, you have this massive eruption, and nobody knows how to fix it. You know, except to stop and listen.
Yeah.
You know, I was gonna say, have conversations like you and I are having, and hopefully people are able to listen in and say, well, that makes sense. You know, hopefully I'm able to speak and somebody will say, shit, that makes sense. You know,
something, I don't hate him for it.
Yeah, like don't hate me for it. You know, I posted something and this is weeks ago, and somebody called me a race baiter, and you and I know I'm absolutely
I was like, they don't know you well enough.
the least racist person I've ever met. You know, and I was like, well, who are you?
Yeah.
Right? Like obviously you don't know me. They're like, well, I'm a former fan of your art. I'm like, well, sorry to see you go.
Yeah.
I can't do anything about it. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to try to convince you. You've already made up your mind. And we are absolutely not friends, or else you'd know that I am. I don't even know what a race baiter is.
Yeah.
Truthfully, it doesn't make sense. It really does. The terminology doesn't. I've been called an anti-racist.
Good. That's a great. I hope a lot of people.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
If you think about the word, and I don't think people think about what I'm an anti-racist, which means I'm against racism.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, look, in what is now required. I am now convinced. What is now required is not simply people who are not racist. We need people who are anti-racist.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like we no longer. It's not enough for you to hide in your. If you're white,
right.
It's no longer enough for you to hide in your corner and simply say, "In my universe, we're doing the right thing."
Right.
It's not. It's no longer enough.
Yeah.
We have got to change, like the way that police are protected is what has led to so many police walking free after manslaughter. It is systemic. It is in the rules. It is in the way that the union contracts are drafted.
Yeah.
It is no longer acceptable for
Absolutely
to be not racist. If you're worth anything in 2020 and beyond, you must be anti-racist.
Absolutely. And truthfully, and it sucks to say, I want people to be just as disgusted in beating, the mistreatment, the murder of people of color as they are with animals.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
With living things, period.
Yeah, anything, right?
Yeah.
So there's people who are still being Michael Vick. I think he's still being trashed, you know, for what he did years and years ago, went to jail for.
Yeah.
Served his time. Prison, right?
Yeah.
And since then he has donated money to animal causes.
Yeah.
Lots of money. Spent his time to try to make up for what he allowed to happen. It wasn't even him, from what I understand. It was just at his home. Right? Which is bad enough. It's bad enough
to give solitude or to give shelter to somebody who's doing this. Yes,
right.
We got to stop. But he, to be honest, there's two people that I talk about repeatedly in American culture, and it's Latrell Sprewell and Michael Vick.
Yeah,
and both, like, I would like to sit down with Andy Reid. In the same way that I'd honestly like to sit down with William Shatner. If you think about William Shatner, he's the white guy that's willing to kiss a black woman and I don't even know the year.
Yeah.
But I can tell you
something, right?
I can tell you it wasn't acceptable to kiss a black woman on television because it was the first, like, I want to talk to Andy Reid, who he did not have to go give Michael Vick a second chance, and he did.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true with Latrell Sprewell. Kicked out of the NBA. Like, if it can happen once, it can happen again. Right. If somebody has done something wrong, why don't we talk more about Latrell Sprewell and Michael Vick? For every O.J. Simpson, there's two more people,
right,
that have been willing to walk the mile and to make themselves. Even Justin Bieber has gone off a cliff and come back and said, I can't live like this. I can't be part of a machine. I have to be a real person. He's now married. He's got his life together. Like, if we'll just give people space, they will come back. If we can stop slapping labels on everyone.
Right.
Prison, jail is supposed to be a place you go to be reformed, not a place you go to fall off the face of the earth.
Right.
And
they use it that way.
Well, because they're for profit. Ren, do you know how many publicly traded companies run prisons? I'm sorry. I don't care how much you love capitalism. If there's a profit motive to increase the number and the duration of people's incarceration, it will never be in humanity's best interest to have for-profit health insurance,
right?
For-profit prisons,
right?
For-profit schools. It's not in anyone's interest.
You're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right. There's places that pay so much money to the states for prisons,
yes,
which are based on the number of bodies that are in there.
Yes,
it gives you incentive to put people in there.
Yeah,
you know, and it sucks. It sucks. That's
awesome.
No problem, James. Awesome. Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's one person, Rand, that's gonna go and share. I hope that tonight has been helpful. I don't know if we solve racism. I don't even know if we've said anything that's novel in the political sphere between me and Terry and me and Rand. But my hope in my motivation for immediately reaching out to Ed Middleton, reaching out to Victor Dandridge, reaching out to Ren McKenzie, and reaching out to Terry Huddleston was I am a guy that has found a place that I belong in the Black community. I am a guy that I moved. I went to 5 different elementary schools. I was never the cool kid. I moved too much. I was always the new kid. And when you're the new kid, you are just as unpopular as the Black kids. You are just as unpopular as the ugly kids. You are just as unpopular as if you don't come in and you're pretty, which I'm not a pretty guy, then you get put in.
You're a sexy dude.
I've hung out with.
You're a sexy dude, Brad. You're a sexy guy.
If I had 40 pounds that you have.
Hey, listen. Hey, Amazon, man. I bought all of this on Amazon.
I just Tom Wolf and I was like, hey, Tom, do I need to eat a gram of protein? He said 0.7. So I'm trying to consume 0.7 grams of protein for every. I dug out T25.
Yeah.
I look decent underneath my shirt. But at the end of the day, my hope is that in having these conversations that people can see, like, me and you don't really look a lot alike.
Right.
We clearly have a friendship, a relationship that goes beyond the differences that we see in front of us.
And it's important to note we don't to have the same ideology to be friends.
We don't.
We can disagree as much as we agree.
Yeah.
And the common bond that we have unites us, right? The differences that we share also unite us.
Yeah.
Right? That's the whole point of individuality, right? My life is more complete because you and I disagree on certain things and because we agree on certain things, and that's what makes a group a family, right? So I hope that people share that, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I want people to take that away.
Yeah,
this as well.
At the end of the day, like we not only should we have 2 political parties, but we should have many more. There's more people should be able to find a home that isn't like we have to stop voting on the president like it's American Idol. We've got to stop trying to pick the winner. Too many Americans vote to say on the next day, on Wednesday, if it's Super Tuesday, on Wednesday, they want to go in and say, I picked the president.
Right.
We are going to, as a people, we're going to lose every time.
Yeah.
We have
because most of the time the people that we have chosen are chosen for us because you had 20 people running for the spot
yeah,
of the Democratic person, and
now we have another old white.
We literally chose the person that we thought was coolest or whatever, but like the people who had our best interest in mind were knocked off.
They're gone.
It was an absolute popularity contest, and I just don't understand it, man. I really don't understand it.
Not only that, but in a more disappointing fashion, what we saw take place in front of us was a chess game. We watched the Democratic Party play a chess game and decide. We didn't decide. The Democratic Party, like literally, I woke up and Pete Buttigieg was gone.
Right.
And I was like,
how did that happen?
What did I miss? Because yesterday, not only were you going to be president, I agreed that you could, if you're going to be white, be anything other than an old white rich dude. And we once again have another election in which two old rich white dudes are going to go
you've got one that's on the edge of being senile and one that is just ridiculously nuts.
Yeah.
And I don't neither one is going to last another 4 years mentally.
Yeah. So
and we're going to suffer, like you said. We lose.
Yeah.
As a country.
Yeah. Well, Ren, I appreciate you, man, and I appreciate you willing to be and come on and be honest, and I love you. I appreciate you. You make the world a better. I miss your mohawk.
Listen, I miss it too, man. I miss it too. I love you too, brother. I love you too.
You make the world, through both you in the way that you live and the art that you put on paper, a more beautiful place. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. I will see you around the internet, and God willing, one day we'll all see each other together again in person.
We will. It'll come.
Okay. You take care.
Take it easy, brother.
Peace.